CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, Vancouver Island. It's 6 a.m., Thursday, July the 16th. Steve Young subbing for Ryan this week. Chance of showers, maybe a thunderstorm this afternoon. Time for CFAX 1070 News. Here's Lisa Best.
Thanks, Steve, and good morning. A BC wildfire update. We've had a jump in the number of blazes across our province. 31 active wildfires province-wide. We've had 14 new starts in just the last day. 10 of these are considered out of control compared to 2 yesterday. There are no new fires here on Vancouver Island, but we all know that can change in a heartbeat. BC fire officials have their eyes on the skies for some dry lightning strikes as fires burn across the southern interior.
Environment Canada says it's been so dry that any falling rain typically evaporates before hitting the ground. The province's fire season has so far been moderate, but the BC Wildfire Service says a recent surge in lightning strikes could trigger up to 150 fire starts in a single day. The parched conditions have triggered fire bans for some areas. The forecast comes as firefighters battle the Brunswick complex of fires, which increased fire activity earlier this week. Wildfire officials have said elevated activity is expected to persist through the dry lightning forecast. Aaron Sousa, The Canadian Press.
Fires in northwestern Ontario devastating several communities, forcing widespread evacuations, destroying homes and buildings of at least one First Nations, and harrowing wildfire videos and photos are emerging online. In a video posted to social media, Ontario Premier Doug Ford, said the province will spare no expense to protect people and support the fire effort.
Last year, we added 100 new firefighting personnel, and this year we've added nearly 70 more. We've nearly doubled base funding for forest firefighting since 2018, and we're investing another $650 million to add 6 new water bombers and 5 helicopters to the provincial firefighting fleet.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says Ottawa is working closely with provincial, municipal, and Indigenous leaders to provide assistance wherever it is needed. Water bombers, helicopters deployed for another day to fight 180 fires burning across this country. In Greater Toronto, an orange air quality warning remains in effect. The visibility in wildfire smoke even worse than yesterday. West Shore RCMP are warning you about fraudulent letters impersonating police. The letter falsely claims to be issued by RCMP's National Cybercrime Coordination Center, or NC3, and other organizations. The letter accuses recipients of serious criminal offenses. It threatens that if you fail to respond within 24 hours or pay the fine, that will result in criminal prosecution and the public release of your identity. RCMP say anyone who receives this kind of letter should ignore the demands, do not send money, do not communicate with the sender, retain the evidence, and contact local police or the Canada Anti-Fraud Centre Agency. Saanich police say a suspect has been arrested and charged, faces numerous charges actually, an assault with that serious assault in Gorge Park last weekend. Police say a patrol officer responding to reports of an assault near Craigflower Bridge last Saturday found a man with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Kyle Dustin David Aird faces a charge of aggravated assault and 2 counts of breaching court order conditions. Police say he remains in custody pending a bail hearing. Sydney Council has approved a temporary use permit for extreme weather shelters. It's at St. Andrew Anglican Church. The overnight shelter will be operated by the Beacon Community Services and will be open only when severe weather puts people at risk. The temporary permit is good for up to 3 winter seasons. The town of Sydney says BC Housing is expected to cover the shelter operating and staffing costs. RCMP investigating an extensive fire that damaged the Nanaimo Judo Club. Fire crews were called early Saturday morning to the blaze. Police say they believe it started in the exterior wall before spreading through a ventilation system and then into the attic. The building was extensively damaged by smoke and water and flames, but firefighters were able to contain the fire to that structure. The cause now under investigation. Anyone with information is asked to contact Nanaimo's non-emergency line. And more on the Pentagon expecting soldiers to have high testosterone. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth announcing yesterday that service members aged 30 and older will receive annual testosterone screenings as part of their routine health assessment. And those diagnosed with a deficiency will have an option to undergo testosterone replacement therapy.
For those who do have low levels, experts say there are effective treatments. It's the latest in Hegseth's push to reshape soldiers' health and fitness. He's ordered tougher fitness tests and daily physical training, declaring a crackdown on, quote, fat troops.
More on that to come. That's your news to 6:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Do you like the idea of implementing a DNA match service on abandoned dog waste where owners can be found and fined? 58% say, yeah, good idea. You can vote at cfax1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 6:06.
Thank you, Lisa. Weather forecast for Greater Victoria. Mix of sun and cloud today. 30% chance of showers, changing to a 70% chance of showers this afternoon. There's a risk of a thunderstorm. Winds becoming southeast 30 late this morning, except west 60 near the Juan de Fuca Strait this afternoon, a high near 20. Mainly cloudy tonight, a 70% chance of showers, changing to a 30% chance of drizzle around midnight. There's the risk of a thunderstorm this evening and a low near 14. The outlook for tomorrow, mainly cloudy, 30% chance of drizzle in the morning with a high near 20. Right now in downtown Victoria, it's sitting at 13 degrees. Here's what happened at the World Cup yesterday.
This is your TSN Radio FIFA World Cup 2026 update.
I'm John Rodenberg. The World Cup final is set, and Argentina will have a chance to defend its championship after staging a second-half comeback to break England's hopes again with a 2-1 victory. After England grabbed a 55th-minute opener, Argentina began to press for the equalizer and eventually found it in the 85th minute. With the clock ticking and added time and overtime looming, Lionel Messi went to work.
Messi. Oh, and England are in trouble. Maybe through Lautaro Martinez. They're going out to the semi-final stage.
Lautaro Martinez headed in the Messi cross for the winner in the 93rd minute, sent Argentina into Sunday's final against Spain. For England, more heartbreak as it lost in the semi-final for the third time since last winning the World Cup in 1966. You can watch the FIFA World Cup matches on TSN, CTV, Crave, and streaming at tsn.ca. Listen on the TSN Radio Network with all games streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
Pacific FC back in action this afternoon. They head to Hamilton in the Canadian Premier League to take on Forge FC. It's the first game for new coach Terry Dunfield. And the South held on to beat the North 5-4 in the West Coast League All-Star game last night at Royal Athletic Park. Coming up to 6:10 here at CFAX 1070. Don't see any delays on your traffic at this hour. At the ferry terminal, the 6 o'clock sailing departed at 6:02. Next available sailings at 7 o'clock this morning with a 44% estimated vehicle space available. Just to note, there are a couple of sailings that are almost booked up already, including the noon sailing, which just has 6% available. So you might want to plan around that. At the airport, everything is on time. Here's your consumer and business news.
Second quarter earnings are now out for 5 of America's biggest banks. Matt Mattinson reports.
J.P. Morgan, the country's largest bank, notched the highest quarterly profit in U.S. banking history with a 41% jump to $21.2 billion. Bank of America reported a net income of $9.1 billion, up 27% from last year. Citigroup reported its highest quarterly revenue in a decade with a 45% jump and a net income of $5.8 billion. Wells Fargo is up 17% from a year earlier at a net income of $6.4 billion. Finally, Goldman Sachs profits rose 78% with net earnings of $6.6 billion.
More than 200 economists and AI researchers are warning that artificial intelligence could dramatically reshape the economy over the next decade. The group says AI may boost living standards, but could also lead to widespread job displacement, urging policymakers and industry leaders to establish some safeguards that ensure the technology benefits society while complementing human workers. And it looks like the U.S. is sending out more in tariff refunds than it's bringing in.
Nearly $50 billion was sent to businesses in June, the second full month of payouts after the Supreme Court struck down President Trump's sweeping blanket tariffs. The country brought in about $24 billion in tariff revenue over the same period, according to the Treasury Department. The country issued about $22 billion in refunds in May. I'm Mark Mayfield.
And Ohio being named the top state for business in 2026. CNBC created its list of America's top states for business 2026 based off factors like infrastructure, economy, workforce, quality of life, technology, and more. Those factors are used by states when trying to attract new businesses to their state. North Carolina and Virginia rounded out the top 3, while Alaska and Hawaii took the bottom spots. I'm Monica Nelson with your consumer and business news.
6:12 here at CFAX 1070. Steve in for Ryan again today. Lisa is in her usual chair, high atop the newsroom.
I don't know what to do with that.
I just
high atop.
Well, some of this is old radio stuff that just jumps into my head unexpectedly.
Yeah.
From the Golden Tower, the Fisher Building, like it just Great Voice of the Great Lakes, all that stuff, WLS Chicago.
All that good, yeah.
Yeah. All that stuff's still there.
Fair enough. It's just rattling around, right?
It's amazing. I can't remember what happened yesterday, but I can remember the old liners, yes.
Yeah. It's a sign of intelligence, Steve. Sure.
Is that what it is?
Sure. We're going to go with that.
Do you know why Billy Joel stopped writing music? Did you know that Billy Joel stopped writing?
Yeah, it was a health concern, was it not?
Well, Mark Mayfield tells us.
Okay.
Because you had to be a big shot, did you? You had to open up your mouth. You had to be a big shot.
During a conversation with YouTube personality Rick Beato, the musician said he felt like he was done when he finished writing River of Dreams. He added that he told himself, you know what, the Beatles had 12 albums, and that was enough for him. He also admitted that he didn't want to dilute his legacy. Joel stopped making rock music after the aforementioned album. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Wild. Okay. Just done, right? You put your fork down, toast is buttered, you're done. I don't know. Artists say that, though, about walking away from the craft and know when to put the paintbrush down or know when to put the microphone down. No one to leave on top, basically. I know he did have a number of health concerns, serious ones.
He did.
And that was, he's saying, obviously I'm stopping. But, sometimes you just run out of steam.
I was surprised by that answer.
I did too.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to say that.
I don't know if that was crafted by him or his PR group, but Billy Joel does pretty much whatever he wants. So I'm thinking that mostly it was column A and maybe a dab of column B. there's a point where you turn and you just think, okay, that's my legacy, and I'm going to let it stand. There's many artists that do that, but it's too bad because it'd be nice to have him dabbling some more. I like his music.
Absolutely. The thing I would say is sometimes it would, and I'm just putting myself in his shoes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Piano Man was such a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And that was like almost his first song that got released widely. How do you, and he's never been able to top that.
No, and so when you start your legacy off with a bang, it is tough to. And the thing is, he doesn't have to top it. It's like it's not another person, but they do look for that sophomore. They do look for the follow up, and like, where's the follow up? And he did have a lot of music, and his music changed throughout the years. His body of work, stands on its own. But yeah, I mean, that would be sort of the pinnacle for him when we talk about the hits. But everybody's got favorites of his. There's a lot of songs from Glass Houses that I like.
There's a lot of songs, period. Like from every album, there's at least one or two that were just top notch, number ones.
Right. He's no slacker, is what we like to see.
And he still does the big shows, like at the major stadiums in New York City and all that stuff. So,
and if you've never seen him before, I highly suggest paying extra because it's more now, of course, hundreds more.
Yes,
but get
it is.
up close because when he's sitting at the piano, spinning the songs, it is pure magic.
It is.
But
I've seen him twice, once in Hamilton, once in Buffalo.
Nice.
And memorable.
Yeah, absolutely. And, these heroes of ours, depending on your age, not getting any younger. So see them while you can. Is that the way life works nowadays?
Unfortunately, yes. 6:16. Here's Lisa with your news headlines.
Top story today, definitely wildfires. A number of fires ticking up across BC's southern interior.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings.
With lightning strikes, as provincial officials warn forecasted lightning combined with parched ground could trigger a surge in ignitions. Again, Environment Canada meteorologist Colin Fong says it's been too dry on the surface. Any rain essentially evaporates as soon as it hits the ground. We've been here before. It was called last summer, and we'll do it again. The near total fire ban takes effect at noon today, with some exceptions, with small campfire areas on Vancouver Island, Sunshine Coast, and Haida Gwaii. But you certainly have to look before you light one, including the young man that lit the fire on Esquimalt Boulevard and was having a cheery fire that I saw on my way into work today. It adds an existing campfire ban in the Kamloops Centre area, with a larger Category 2 and 3 fires are banned everywhere, but in one small area of the Prince George Fire Centre. There are over 800 wildfires now reported out across Canada, many still burning out of control. Manitoba is dealing with 140. We are dealing with 31. An Alberta judge has extended a special court order freezing millions of dollars in assets belonging to a prominent separatist. Justice John Gill says the move is justified given questions surrounding payments from a Tall Cree First Nation Trust Fund and lawyer Jeffrey Rath, who was in charge of it. The decision affirms another made last week to grant an injunction freezing up to $8.5 million held by Rath and his law firm. And a handful of federal ministers are expected to address hundreds of First Nations chiefs today at the annual general meeting of Assembly of First Nations. We'll keep you posted as to what happens next. That's your news to 6:18.
Need a cab? Download the new Bluebird Cabs app at bluebirdcabs.ltd. Bluebird Cabs, proudly local and Canadian owned and run since 1946. At the ferry terminal, hourly sailings again today, right through until 9 o'clock is the final sailing of the day. Right now, there's 42% available deck space on the 7 o'clock sailing. No delays on the highways so far today. Appreciation to the folks out there doing paving on the off-ramp from the Trans-Canada to Island Highway in the View Royal Colwood area, as they were doing that at 4 o'clock this morning so that your commute's in a little better shape today.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at cfax1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Should we start with fashion?
Yes. Let's go to fashion, and then everything else can follow.
Okay. So, by request, I am wearing a different sports jersey.
We did notice.
Every day. Mm-hmm. So I've gone off the board a little bit. Okay. Just so people have a better appreciation for the diversity of my sports taste.
It goes deep here, folks. Settle in. Got a coffee? Grab a coffee. All right, floor is yours.
So what we have today is the Kyle Larson jersey.
It looks like a racing jersey.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, I'm there.
So Kyle Larson, the driver of the Valvoline, number 5 on the NASCAR
one of the little stickers
circuit.
on your shirt. Okay.
It's more of a pit crew shirt because obviously I can't wear a driver's uniform, but it's similar to the driver's uniform. So
you can't, but then you're going to drive. That's a whole
right.
other ball of wax.
So we will keep up with this.
Okay.
Just so you have a little, Boss Guy Brad is very on board with this. I got special double secret permission to do this kind of stuff. So there you have it.
In other words, Brad said, okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to create a picture for the listeners, and you're trampling all over it.
So why is Kyle special? No, as a race car drivers are special, but educate us.
Okay. So first of all, I'm more of a dirt racing aficionado than an asphalt racing aficionado.
Okay.
So Kyle, even though he is a 2-time NASCAR champion, comes back and races a sprint car on a regular basis on dirt tracks throughout the U.S. and Canada.
He dabbles.
Well, it's like his passion. I think if he could make enough money doing sprint cars instead of doing NASCAR, he would do that.
Okay.
Because that's his passion. So last night, I'm watching the race from Eldora in Ohio, and Kyle's out there in his sprint car. So that's kind of cool. So that's why I cheer for Kyle, and the other guy I cheer for is Christopher Bell. But Christopher hasn't made it quite as big yet, so we have the Kyle jersey.
Okay.
Okay.
It's nice. It's different. It's not, it's obviously not soccer or baseball or anything like that, but I like the trappings of NASCAR and all the different races. It's huge money.
Yes, and the other thing is, one of the other jerseys I have for another driver is sponsored by an American beer company, and I didn't think that was appropriate to put on a Morgan program.
Fair.
Fair?
Okay, that's
right?
fair, yeah.
So there you have it.
Huh.
That's the story.
That's the background.
Behind the story.
Okay. I'm just wearing a shirt. It's kind of a brown shirt.
Well, we're glad you are, okay? Because we see enough
if
things.
If I forget, I'm not sure which way ratings are going to go, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I don't know. I better not say anything.
Heard a car accident there.
Yeah.
Look away, people.
Now tell them the story about what you saw coming into work.
Yeah, a cheery campfire. Unfortunately, it was on the side of Esquimalt Boulevard. And both Bailey and I from Virgin, we had the same reaction when we drove past. We had to do a double take, because different times for different vehicles, obviously. And it's just at that rocky outcropping as you head towards the Johnson Street Bridge. You're coming out of Esquimalt just past the Shell station. And around the corner, and I see this light, and I'm like, nah, it's probably a lamp or something. No, it was flames, and they were in. And so I thought, okay, do I go back? And then I'm thinking, no, I got to have words. Then it's too early to have words. I don't have words in the morning. And it was just a young man, 30-ish, sitting there having a campfire on the side of the road, on the grass between the rocky outcrop and the sidewalk. And then I thought, I'm going to call. It's not an emergency yet. The fire could get away from him. I don't know. And then I was going to call Wikipedia, and I got the message, because it's after hours.
Right.
And then I thought, okay. And then Bailey came into work, and she had the same response. I was going to do this. She went through a checklist. I was going to call. And then we thought, he's got a handle on it. He didn't look like, it wasn't like he wasn't trying to light the world on fire. He was just having a cheery little campfire. But
were there hot dogs involved?
I did not see any food being roasted, which is one of the things we have, that if you're cooking food, there's certain fires you can't have. You can have a stove anyways. Anyway, I digress. So if you saw this, that was happening early this morning. And don't have fires. As of noon today, the campfire ban is coming into effect across pretty much all of the Coastal Fire Center area. There's pockets, but you know where it is. I found out something interesting yesterday. I digress. Do you know how much it costs to rent a campsite in Tofino area?
Oh, I do know this, and it's 3 figures.
You're correct. I had a bit of sticker shock when I found this out, because I talked to a family that was going. I said, what does $140 get you? And that gets you the picnic table and a patch of ground. Last time I went camping, it was $10, I think. Mind you, that wasn't here. And Tofino area is pretty pristine. So if you're going to go anywhere, that's sort of the Disney of camping. So if you're going camping this weekend, you cannot have a fire, unfortunately, because as of noon today, fires are off the list of the fun you can have, but plenty of other things. Bring your barbecue.
Just be careful out there, folks. I know a lot of you have these wonderful 4-wheel drive vehicles that can go places that are just absolutely amazing. But just you be careful that you don't inadvertently light a fire as well from the heat of the vehicle.
Well, they're backfiring.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Little things can, I know that trains, we saw that in Lytton.
The sparks. Yeah, that's correct.
It's just, the littlest thing that seems innocuous can cause the biggest problem.
And the secondary problem is, sure, we may have the water, but fire crews have to get the water to the flames in a certain amount of time before they get out of hand. And so our reservoirs may be full. It's about getting the water to the flames or to the fire before it grows out of control. So, all hands on deck. This is nothing unusual. We have this every year at this time. No beach fires. Which always seem to pop up because we always think it's safe to have one, and then suddenly the flames are licking up this side of the Dallas Bluffs. Yeah, it can get away from you really quick, and I've seen it happen a lot in the wilderness and on the beach. So prudence, we want to take care of it because we want it to stay green and verdant, and we don't want it to look torched and done.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's the reality.
6:29, Lisa will be back momentarily with your news update.
Where the noise stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations. From major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show. Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
.631 here at CFAX 1070, and if you're watching on TV, CTV Vancouver Island, Steve in for Ryan this week. Thursday, July 16th, a chance of showers, maybe a thunderstorm this afternoon. Time for CFAX News. Here's Lisa Best.
Thanks, Stephen. Good morning. Vic PD still searching for a 15-year-old teen missing since last week. Joshua was last seen Friday getting into a blue Honda car in the 1100 block of Kings Road. He's described as 5'10", a slim build, brown hair and brown eyes. Anyone with any information on this young teen is asked to contact Vic PD's non-emergency line. In health news, Canada's Drug Agency is recommending the public drug plans pay for a treatment shown to slow the progression of early-stage Alzheimer's disease. That is, if patients meet certain conditions. Elenocumab is an antibody that targets the buildup of brain plaque, which is believed to be the underlying cause of the disease. Health Canada approved it last fall, but Canada's Drug Agency recommended against publicly funding it in February due to concerns about effectiveness and the possibility of side effects of brain swelling and bleeding. In an updated recommendation released today, the drug agency says it recognizes patients with early onset Alzheimer's are faced with a progressive and ultimately debilitating condition for which there's limited treatment options. So they say eligible patients must only have mild cognitive impairment to apply for this. According to the Canadian Consortium of Neurodegeneration of Aging, the cost of this drug, $32,000 on an annual basis. In an industry plagued with layoffs and shrinkage, CBC Radio Canada says it will expand its English and French news divisions and 5 new bureaus.
The public broadcaster says journalists will be based in Beijing, Jerusalem, Los Angeles, Mexico City, and an undecided location in Europe. CBC currently has bureaus in London, New York City, and Washington, among other places. Officials say there will also soon be a permanent presence in Africa. They say the expansion comes at a time when many international stories could have an impact on Canada. It also comes after CBC became a full member of the European Broadcasting Union. The broadcaster also says Radio Canada will launch a weekly French international news program this fall. Aaron Sousa, The Canadian Press.
Taking a look at what's happening in the U.S., the Trump administration has announced its first new formal tariff since the Supreme Court struck down much of the administration's tariffs policy earlier last year.
Brazil is being hit with new 25% tariffs, with Trump administration officials accusing the country of engaging in unfair trade practices. The new 25% tariff is lower than the 40% tariff announced last year, which was struck down by the Supreme Court in February. They also include carve-outs for beef, coffee, and orange juice, as well as some energy products and aerospace parts. The new tariffs take effect July 22nd. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
And if you've got a summer trip booked and it's on WestJet, well, you could be into turbulence over the August long weekend if the flight attendants go on strike.
It sucks for the travelers, for sure.
It may not come to that, but today, 99.4% of WestJet flight attendants voted in favor of a strike.
The last thing we want to do is go on strike. That's the absolute last thing we want to do.
CUPE says WestJet flight attendants work on average 35 unpaid hours a month, including during flight delays on the tarmac and during boarding.
We don't really have a choice. We need unpaid work addressed.
In a statement, WestJet maintained their pay model is the North American standard for flight attendants. Again, that strike date would be August 2nd at the earliest. That's your news to 6:35.
Set the table for the weekend with BC Food and Wine Radio, pointing you to great wine buys, outstanding restaurants, insider stories, and all things connected to our amazing food and wine scene. Listen every week as Anthony Gismondi sits down with top winemakers, star chefs, proprietors, and more from all over BC and around the world. Don't miss BC Food and Wine Radio with Anthony Gismondi, Saturday afternoon at 1, right here on CFAX 1070.
Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Do you like the idea of implementing a DNA match service on abandoned dog waste where owners can be found and fined? 58% say yes. You can vote now at cfax1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 6:36.
Thank you, Lisa. Weather forecast for Greater Victoria. Mix of sun and cloud today. Showers changing to a 70% chance of showers this afternoon. There's the risk of a thunderstorm as well with a high near 20. Mainly cloudy tomorrow. Once again, a 70% chance of showers. Actually, that's tonight. So mainly cloudy tonight, 70% chance of showers, changing to a 30% chance of drizzle near midnight. There's the risk of a thunderstorm this evening with a low near 14. Tomorrow, mainly cloudy with a 30% chance of drizzle early in the morning and a high near 20. Right now in downtown Victoria, it's 13 degrees. In sports, the South held on to beat the North 5-4 in the West Coast League All-Star Game last night at Royal Athletic Park. Victoria will host the event again next year as well. The Harbour Cats, meanwhile, return to action tomorrow night at home against Wenatchee. Argentina scored 2 goals to come from behind to beat England 2-1 at the World Cup. The defending champs will now face Spain in the final on Sunday. Pacific FC back in action this afternoon. They head to Hamilton to play the Canadian Premier League leaders, Forge FC. It's the first game for new coach Terry Dunfield. Victoria Royals have added another import forward to the roster for the upcoming season. The Royals sent a pair of third-round picks to Lethbridge for Columbus draft pick Philip Novak. The British Open is now underway. It's taking place at Royal Yorkdale, and Alex Smalley is the leader right now through 17. He's 5 under par. Top Canadian is Abbotsford's Nick Taylor, who is 3 under through 13. Traffic starting to build on the Trans-Canada Victoria bound at this hour. It's not a red zone anywhere, but it's slow around Veterans Memorial Parkway and around Island Highway. And once you get by the Island Highway entrance, you're in good shape. Things improve dramatically at that point. At the ferry terminal, the next sailing is 7 o'clock. Lots of deck space available, about 40%. And at the airport, everything is still on time. Here's what happened in the business world on Wednesday.
Canada's main stock index climbed yesterday despite weakness in basic materials and tech. Toronto's S&P TSX rose 95 points to 35,416. U.S. markets also gained, with the Dow up 150 points and the Nasdaq adding 162. In Tokyo this morning, the Nikkei fell by 1,900 points. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong, meanwhile, gained 327. Our dollar trading overseas at 71.20 cents U.S. WestJet flight attendants have voted overwhelmingly for a strike mandate, the result opening the door to a possible walkout within 3 weeks. The main dispute centers around compensation for unpaid ground work. In Ontario, Hamilton City Council has rejected a temporary pause on new AI data centers. This clears the way for 2 data center projects in Hamilton. And grain shipments are set to resume at the northern Manitoba port of Churchill for the first time since 2020. The group that owns the port says it will also ship potash and critical minerals. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Erin Sousa.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
6:41 here at CFAX 1070. Steve in for Ryan with Lisa. Are we Thursday, we're getting close.
Are we? You can smell the barn?
I can, it's been an up and down week. It really has.
Go to bed, get up. Get to bed, get up. I think everybody feels that because we're into summer and, the fun is on the way. It's not here already. There's a lot of fun things going on this weekend.
It's going to be busy downtown once again.
Yeah. And Oak Bay, too. They have a big car show in Oak Bay. This is the annual Wingding, 300 vehicles out there. They close 5 blocks of Oak Bay Avenue. It's pretty cool. It's the Oak Bay Collector Car Festival on. I know some people going into it. So it'll be closed Monterey to Mitchell from 10 to 3 Sunday. But it's been going on for 26 years.
One of the things I think about for this weekend, too, is what a great job Langford has done with the World Cup Festival.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've done it right. They've shut things down. They've made it a real party-like atmosphere, and they're certainly helping those businesses on Station Street get some foot traffic that they normally wouldn't have as a offshoot. So I think the city did a wonderful job with that.
But there's a fine science to having all that happen and not annoy the residents in the area and cause a real traffic problem, right?
Well, the good thing about Station Street is there's other options.
True.
I know there's one resident, one apartment building that's probably gets affected, but I'm very close to that area, and I haven't heard a word.
Oh, well, there you go. That's great.
Yeah.
That's how you want it to be. That the parties can come and go. If you want to put yourself in the middle of it, you can. If you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to hear it.
You know what the other good thing is? It's the hours of the soccer games have contributed to the fact, usually even the late games have been done, 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it's civilized.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of them are starting midday. So,
yeah.
If your favorite team, you're taking the time off. When Canada was in it, of course, more of us were galvanized to be involved and be glued to a TV set near you. But still, it's not happening the wee hours of the morning in some strange
yes, exactly.
time, yeah.
And that bash we found out about in Uptown for Sunday for the World Cup final sounds like a lot of fun, too.
It does, actually.
And
they had 70 people out there for dancing, so I can't imagine how many they'll have for the World Cup final.
Isn't today Salsa Day?
I believe it is. It's Thursday.
I think you should be out there doing research, Lisa. You're big on the salsa.
I got a board meeting.
Okay.
But thanks for thinking of me.
Well, I think salsa.
Yeah, you think me? I think salsa, too. I don't think board meeting, but duty calls.
It's amazing how that works. What should I be doing and what do I want to be doing?
Yeah. Sometimes the two meet, sometimes not. You'll probably find yourself on a sandy beach in your mind right now.
You know what the greatest thing about doing mornings is this particular week?
What?
Is I've been able to watch my races from start to finish.
Oh.
Because usually I get home just in time for the feature. So I just, like the final race of the night. I'm there from time trials right to the end. It's so much. So I understand the story of the night better.
Okay.
How we got from point A to point B.
You see the progress of it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Apex.
The progression.
Right. Okay.
Speaking of progression, this idea about testosterone is very disturbing to me.
You think?
Yes.
I saw that yesterday. I had to sit down. I'm going to have it coming up in the 7 o'clock news for you.
It just, there are things that make my head shake.
Things that make you go, what?
And things that I think that government shouldn't be doing in any way, shape, or form. That one hit it out of the park. Like, that's way out. That's
Very
not just barely over the fence. Yeah. That's across the street into the schoolyard.
I wonder if they can actually, so we're going down this path. So this is the U.S. announcing service members age 30 and older will receive an annual testosterone screening. And if they have a deficiency, they will have the option to undergo testosterone replacement therapy. This is in the U.S., not Canada, because we're cool with things. This is the eyebrow raiser coming out of the Secretary of Defense in the U.S. And we'll hear more from the Secretary himself on that. Nothing really surprises me anymore, but I feel for people because these are people's lives. And as a soldier, when you're going to lose your job if you don't go undergo testosterone replacement therapy. What about the women? What about the women?
Yeah, don't get me started.
Sorry, there are women in the military.
Yes, okay. The pictures in my mind should just stay right in there. Here's Lisa.
Apparently, that makes you tough.
I was just going to comment on there's no lack of testosterone.
In the White House?
In the White House, yes.
You're correct about that.
6:46. Here's Lisa with your news headlines.
A new study says AI chatbots are at risk of spreading government restrictions on online speech. The Meta Oversight Board study shows that major artificial intelligence systems are more likely to refuse to criticize restrictive leaders or governments. It raises concerns that the large language model powering chatbots could be regurgitating and spreading government influence over online speech as the technology is increasingly adopted worldwide. The findings come as countries are determining how to put up guardrails around AI without impeding their ability to compete in the rapidly developing field. Last year, to mark a record high for romance scams, the growth of romance scams comes in part to acute social isolation, ushered in first by the COVID epidemic and the lockdowns that ensued. Scientists have found that humans evolved to rely on each other. Our brains are hardwired to seek out relationships and community for survival. Love is a necessity, just like food, water, and shelter. And the guilt and shame and social stigma surrounding these scams compound the loneliness that propels so many victims into them in the first place. And we have a cause of death for actor Sam Neill. Officials have revealed the 78-year-old died of pneumonia. His manager says Neill had successfully beaten a rare form of blood cancer before falling ill again. The star of Jurassic Park died early this week in Sydney, Australia, with his family by his side. He will be buried in his native New Zealand during a private ceremony. His manager says he filmed 4 projects over the past year, and they will all be released. And that's your news to 6:48.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Victoria Symphony presents Symphony in the Summer Festival, July 10th through August 9th. Details at victoriasymphony.ca. Catch all the excitement of summer baseball with the Victoria Harbour Cats. More info at harbourcats.com. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured.
Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
6:50 here at CFAX 1070. The traffic situation getting a little tense as the morning progresses. Trans-Canada Victoria bound is slow, basically from Mill Hill Regional Park all the way past the construction zone to the big curve. It's faster in some areas, slower in others. Island Highway getting a little busy if you view Royal, especially as you get close to Helmkin and make that left-hand turn for people trying to get around all that. And at the ferry terminal, the 7 o'clock sailing still has 38% available deck space.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
Eliminating internal trade barriers has long been a nation-building goal across the country as Canada seeks better economic independence. The latest Canadian Federation of Independent Business report card on the issues out, British Columbia earned an A-, with the organization calling for the province to bring the Trade Recognition Act into force. The Director of Legislative Affairs, Ryan Mitten, is joining us now. Good morning, Ryan. Welcome back to the program.
Good morning. Thanks for having CFIB on the show.
No problem at all. First of all, what is the Trade Recognition Act?
Well, some may know it as Bill 5. It was passed recently in the BC legislature this year, and it is a form of mutual recognition legislation, this big grand idea that said, well, hey, if a product or service is good enough to be sold in another province, it should be good enough in here in British Columbia and vice versa. So the idea is we take down the regulatory barriers to other companies doing business in our province and elsewhere and say, let's be our own best trading partner and open our borders to new products and services.
I think we all remember that now because that was a big plank in the NDP's approach going forward. So let's talk about the actual report card. So is BC doing better than in the past or not?
Yeah, so BC is doing better than in the past. Obviously, they have passed Bill 5. That is a legal recognition that products and services ought to be good enough to do business here if they're recognized in another province. But at the same time, that legislation hasn't been brought into force. So it's what we'd call a hanging piece of legislation. It's waiting on regulations to be deposited. So on paper, it looks like we have internal trade, but in actuality, businesses aren't able to benefit that. So to reflect that on the report card, BC gets an A-. It's an 8.9 out of 10. It's up from last year, but it's actually one of the few provinces that hasn't actually earned a full A grade this year. And so it's close, but not quite for British Columbia.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. How do we compare this to other provinces? Who's doing the best?
Well, at the top, we're recognizing the federal government for fully eliminating the exceptions to the internal trade agreement, the Canadian Free Trade Agreement. We've also got Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and New Brunswick rounding out the top three with 9.8, 9.7, and 9.7 respectively. So those are all A's. Interestingly enough, if BC had have actually brought the Trade Recognition Act into force, it would be at the top of the table with a 9.8. But the government hasn't done that, so we're calling on them to do that today and actually be a on-the-ground leader in internal trade barrier removal.
Ryan, what's the silver lining to have this kind of rating?
Well, the silver lining is that we've seen more good movement on removing internal trade barriers in the last year than we have in the last 6 years. I think the tariff situation we've got with our neighbor to the south has really galvanized political leaders into saying, okay, well, let's be our own best trading partner. I think for a lot of small businesses, they'd be surprised to realize how and sometimes it can feel like you're dealing with 13 different countries almost when it comes to moving across provincial borders and dealing with trade. We've got different regulatory bodies governing which professions can work in each province. So there's a lot of momentum still to do, but we've seen good movement here. We've got the Canada Free Trade Agreement. Multiple provinces have introduced recognition legislation to propose this concept of mutual or unilateral recognition even. And so we are seeing the movement, but now it's time to stop talking the talk and start walking the walk.
That's the thing. I mean, how do we cut the red tape? Because with what we're dealing with the U.S. and Trump's tariffs, the faster we move with this and streamline everything, the better, no?
Yeah, and it may sound as a surprise, like why are small businesses so dependent on internal free trade? Well, in actuality, 62% of small businesses operate in and or purchase goods from other jurisdictions. But almost over 2/3 of them are saying at the same time that they've not noticed a change on the ground yet. They're still waiting for all these agreements, all these laws to actually become reality for their small business.
How many times have we seen things look like they're going forward and go back? And I'm thinking the change of policy in provincial legislatures across the country, sometimes it looks like we're going to get to the end of a trade dispute. I think of some of the stuff around wine in particular between Alberta and BC, and then something happens and it doesn't happen. That must be real frustrating.
I'm glad you mentioned wine, because actually alcohol is one of the areas where we've seen some backsliding. Many provinces actually missed a deadline at May 30th to implement direct-to-consumer alcohol shipping Canada-wide. And BC does have some agreements, as you may recall, BC and Alberta for wine, BC and Saskatchewan for liquor. But really, for every province to be able to directly ship to a consumer, to your doorstep, alcohol, it's not in practice yet. And so that's partially because we're seeing some what I'd call bureaucratic inertia at bureaucracies governing liquor boards. We need politicians to actually step up, override some of that inertia and say, let's get this done. So we're still calling on governments to actually meet the deadline, hold up to their commitment to have direct-to-consumer alcohol shipping. I'm sure there are many distilleries and breweries across British Columbia that would love to be able to sell to other provinces. We're very proud of the products we make here. I think we should be able to get those products to the other parts of Canada, but we're not going to be able to do that unless BC also welcomes other products here.
Yeah, because we have a really good product here. Like you mentioned it. Distilleries and wineries right here on Vancouver Island do some of the best, most creative, best tasting stuff.
Oh, they sure do. I must confess, I was just at the Phillips Backyard Weekender concert recently. I think, it's one example of how companies are beautiful parts of their community. They create events, they create spaces, and also, they want to sell a product across Canada, right? So it seems like a no-brainer, but surprisingly, we have this government bureaucracy that seems to be clinging on to some of these notions. So that was the original idea behind mutual recognition, we say every good is automatically recognized, and if you want to make exceptions due to safety reasons, well, we can do that after the fact. But we're still seeing some issues. Another thing, too, is Bill 5, it allows products to be sold in British Columbia, but not necessarily used. So, if you have a hypothetical chainsaw, for example, you can sell it in BC, but there may be restrictions on using it at the job site still. So there is fine print in all this legislation, and it's something that we need to watch.
Thanks for joining us again, Ryan, and some interesting thoughts and a report card that we're taking note of. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having CFIB on the show.
Ryan Mitten, Director of Legislative Affairs in BC for the Canadian Federation of Independent Business.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
7 o'clock here on CFAX 1070 and CTV Vancouver Island. Steve subbing for Ryan this week. Chance of showers, maybe a thunderstorm this afternoon. Here's Lisa Best with the CFAX 1070 News.
Putting a kink in your travel plans possibly this summer in less or in just over 2 weeks' time. If you have a WestJet flight booked, you may not be taking it. There could be turbulence starting on the August long weekend if the airline's flight attendants go on strike. CTV's Andrew Johnson has details.
It sucks for the travelers, for sure.
It may not come to that, but today, 99.4% of WestJet flight attendants voted in favor of a strike.
The last thing we want to do is go on strike. That's the absolute last thing we want to do.
CUPE says WestJet flight attendants work on average 35 unpaid hours a month, including during flight delays on the tarmac and during boarding.
We don't really have a choice. We need unpaid work addressed.
WestJet maintains their pay model is the North American standard for flight attendants. The other thing we have to watch is gas prices because the war that continues between the U.S. and Iran, which shows no sign of ending right now, and the ongoing closure of the Strait of Hormuz has led to higher oil and gas prices. And of course, that is impacting airlines, which will impact you if you try to take a flight. United says it expects to spend $6 billion in added costs for fuel this year alone. The company is making up those costs in other ways.
United Airlines in an SEC filing signaled airfares will remain high for the remainder of the year. The airline says it spent $2.3 billion on fuel during this quarter alone, roughly 84% compared to the second quarter last year. United says it was able to cover half the increased fuel costs by raising airfares, saying passengers paid about 12% more per mile than a year ago. At the same time, United says passengers are not backing away from traveling, noting flights remain full across all booking classes. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
So we might get choosier about where we go and when. Meta announced this week it is rolling out a new safety feature which will notify a parent if a teen's conversation with the company's AI program suggests it may be considering suicide or self-harm in an effort to better protect the young users. Here's ABC's Rebecca Jarvis.
Meta says it built a dedicated AI system to identify these types of high-risk conversations, working with experts and parents to determine which types of conversations should warrant an alert. And as an additional safeguard, any chat flagged by AI will be reviewed by a human before an alert is sent. And they say if the teen's intent is ambiguous, they will err on the side of caution.
You remember that Taylor Swift ticket scam in Toronto a couple years back? Well, a man and woman at the center of that have pled guilty to one count each of defrauding the public. CTV's Sean Lathong has details from court.
She's had no effort to repay anyone.
According to the agreed statement of facts in this case, 107 Taylor Swift ticket purchasers from across southern Ontario purchased $265,330 worth of tickets from Denise Tizer. Also, documents show that Blake and Tizer were aware that they were defrauding their victims, saying Miss Tizer and Mr. Blake used $139,144 of these funds to place multiple online gambling bets on various platforms.
Wow. In a social media post, Tizer offered an apology and an explanation of sorts, saying her decision stemmed from a gambling addiction that had completely taken over her life. And yes, the latest from the Pentagon and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth's eyebrow-raising announcement that service members aged 30 and older in the U.S. will receive annual testosterone screenings. It's part of their routine health assessments moving forward. Anyone diagnosed with a deficiency will have the option to undergo testosterone replacement therapy.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is rolling out a new program to screen troops for low testosterone.
Ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best.
The test will be part of annual health screenings for troops 30 and older. Younger troops can volunteer to be tested. Any treatment would be up to the individual soldier.
And that's your news to 7:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking you, do you like the idea of implementing DNA match service on abandoned dog waste, where owners can be sought out and fined? 58% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time, 7:06.
Thank you, Lisa. Weather forecast for Greater Victoria. Mix of sun and cloud today. 30% chance of showers, changing to 70% this afternoon. There's the risk of a thunderstorm as well, and a high near 20. Mainly cloudy tonight, a 70% chance of showers, changing to 30% chance of drizzle near midnight. There's a risk of a thunderstorm this evening with a low near 14. Mainly cloudy tomorrow, 30% chance of drizzle early in the morning, clearing late in the morning with a high near 20. Right now in downtown Victoria, it's 13 degrees. Checking your sports. The full NHL schedule will be released later today. The Canucks' first home game will be on October 1st against Edmonton. Trevor Zegras has signed a 4-year deal with Philadelphia worth just over $9 million a season. Olympic View Golf Club Superintendent TJ Kramer been awarded the Master Superintendent designation by BC Golf. Still with golf, British Open is underway at Royal Birkdale. Of course, they're way ahead of us time-wise. So the clubhouse leader right now is Dan Brown at 4 under par, but we've got a Canadian in contention. Nick Taylor of Abbotsford is 3 under par through 14 holes so far today. Victoria Royals have added another import to the roster for the big season. The Royals sent a pair of third-round picks to Lethbridge for Columbus draft pick Philip Novak yesterday. Checking your traffic. Well done, folks. Well done. It's better than it was 15 minutes ago, like significantly. TransCanada Victoria bound, way lighter than normal. You slow just a tad as you go by the hospital and get through the construction zone. Then it speeds right back up again, so no big delays. It's actually busier right now on Island Highway as you go to View Royal until you get to Helmkin, and that clears up right after the people make their left-hand turn. So it's a breeze at this point. It's good. Special hats off so far this week to the folks on the peninsula. You have been navigating your way around the peninsula to perfection so far. So thank you on behalf of the driving public. On the markets, the TSX is down 196 points at 35,219. The Dow Jones is up 17 points at 52,676. The Nasdaq down 255 at 26,014. And the Canadian dollar's up 10 basis points at 71.3 cents U.S.
Let's get started. Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
You know who you don't want to be today?
No, hit me. Go. Yep.
The coach of England.
Oh, yeah. Did you see his response?
Yeah, not good.
Well, I mean, there's always going to be a winner and a loser, but wow.
Here's the opinion of Vancouver Whitecaps midfielder Thomas Mueller. He criticized England's tactics after it surrendered that 1-0 lead in yesterday's 2-1 semifinal loss to Argentina. Mueller, who played under the same coach in England at Bayern Munich, says he could not understand England's decision to defend deep and invite pressure.
Well, 2020 hindsight's a powerful thing, isn't it?
Well, that's what the guy has been saying in response to all this.
Okay.
If I knew that was going to happen, I would have done it differently.
Right.
But here is...
I don't have to coach to know that. Change your tactic after the fact.
I will say, I've always hated when and this goes across the sports world and even into politics as well.
Right? You've hated what?
The rope-a-dope.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay, and this happens in like many phases. This isn't just sports that this happens in. People get confident because they're ahead.
Yeah.
And they get afraid to make a mistake. And the minute you're afraid to make a mistake, guess what happens?
You make a mistake. Yeah. Because you're focused on that.
Yes.
You're not focused on moving forward.
Look at you go.
It's the same in motorcycling.
This is why we're buddies. You understand me.
Even though
I feel completed and heard. You're the Travis to my Taylor.
So much love in the room. Sometimes you just make me laugh. I got nothing else.
Okay. Blue Angels are in trouble.
Okay.
That's, of course, the flying squad in the U.S.
Oh, we have our own that are in trouble. So
yeah, but
on their swan song flight throughout Canada this summer.
So they were playing in the air in Pensacola.
And?
This is what happened.
Oh.
Navy officials say a jet flew below its standard arrival profile during a breakfast with the Blues event at Pensacola Beach. No injuries were reported, but witnesses said the aircraft passed unusually close to the crowd. The team says it's reviewing the maneuver to make sure future flights meet Navy and FAA safety standards. I'm Michael Kastner.
Is that Tom Cruise?
It's worse than what Tom Cruise did because I saw the video of
this. Isn't crop dusting people?
The people on the beach, because the backwash from the thing.
Oh, yeah.
The chairs are flying, umbrellas are in the air.
Because that would make leave a huge...
People are scurrying left and right everywhere.
Things flying.
It was like, I'm not sure that was a good idea.
So how many people were at this party that they kind of crop dusted?
It was full. Like the beach was full.
Oh. Couldn't help themselves, eh?
So what I would say is,
yes?
I'm pretty sure those pilots from the Blue Angels don't need to take the testosterone test.
But we may want to have it happen just in case. It depends what age they are, because apparently 30 is the magic number.
Yeah, things went downhill way before 30 for me. So there you go. It was like...
Testosterone, huh? It's the same thing. If the U.S. is going to test the military for testosterone, what are they going to do with the women?
I have no answer for you.
The men have to be testosterone laden in order to be involved with the U.S. military. What level of testosterone is correct? I have all these questions. Just because,
Okay.
It's not vastly unfair that I'm not in the military. So, okay.
CFAX Mornings, by the way, are brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Their buy one, get one free event is on now. Stock up on some of the items your family enjoys the most. See your flyer for details. Here's Lisa with your news headlines.
We are talking fires across Canada. There's currently 850 fires burning in this country, wildfires. We have 31 fires burning in BC. That's a jump from 14 new fires as of yesterday. Now, we don't have any new fires on Vancouver Island, but we know that could change in a heartbeat. 10 are out of control in this province. Out east, Ontario is requesting assistance from the federal government to get ready to evacuate communities across the north by aircraft as dozens of fires burn out of control. Ontario's Emergency Preparedness Minister has sent a letter to Ottawa that 15 communities in the north have already begun evacuations and others are considering it. She says the situation may escalate rapidly. There's more than 180 wildfires burning in northern Ontario alone. Ontario forest fire officials say 136 active fires are in the northwest region and 63 are out of control. Where there is smoke, there's fire, and smoke from these fires continues to drift back across eastern Ontario, creating smoky conditions and poor air quality control throughout the whole region. Actually, you're probably seeing footage come out that skies are orange, and it's really bad for breathing. The air quality index, health index, is expected to drop the risk even lower tonight. The weather agency says for the time being, people should limit outdoor activities and consider rescheduling any outdoor sports. And a new poll shows Canadians hold a more favorable view of China than the U.S. under Donald Trump's leadership. Pew Research found 2 in 5 Canadians hold that view, while 3 in 5 say they feel the same way about both the U.S. and China. 35% say they would trust the president of China to do the right thing. That's nearly double the 20% who says the same thing about Donald Trump. And that is your news to 7:16.
$7:19 here at CFAX 1070. Checking your traffic in and around Greater Victoria at this hour. Pretty good so far. There's the odd slowdown on the Trans-Canada, especially around Island Highway. Picks up again as you're Victoria bound. Island Highway is a little busy through View Royal until you get to Helmken. Then it speeds up again, and I see no other delays. The next sailing out of the ferry terminal at 8 o'clock this morning has 34% available deck space, and everything's still on time out of Victoria International Airport.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, one of the big trends, one of the best things, and the things that made us smile coming out of the World Cup was this. We had people doing the Viking Air Row at the stadiums. We had them doing it at seniors' homes. We had children at daycares doing it. We saw people going up the escalator doing it. We saw people in Africa sitting on the ground doing the row. In Norwegian, the word row is R-O, pronounced like roo. That's why we're hearing it that way. And a local club is hoping to capitalize on the synchronized stadium celebration that made all of us smile, thanks to Team Norway's time on the pitch. Griffin Thomas is with the Victoria Rowing Club. He joins us now on the line. Welcome, Griffin. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. It's so nice to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
It's a fantastic day to be out in the water.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, we've just gotten a lovely week, nothing but sun and some gorgeous water as well. Been nice and flat.
So you must have been watching all of this with Norway and the rowing with great interest.
Oh, certainly. I mean, it's really great to see rowing receiving so much attention through Norway's World Cup debut. It reminds us that rowing isn't just a modern Olympic sport. It's been around a long time.
How long exactly?
More than 3,000 years. I mean, historical records from ancient Egypt put it at around like 1430 BCE, so almost 3,500 years and counting before it became a sport.
And that's right. That's how they got the pharaohs down the Nile.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, essential for transportation, fishing, trade, military operations, you name it, during the Bronze Age. Yeah.
Wow. So now it's not essential, but it's still a really cool sport. And
oh my gosh, yeah.
This is a place where we can do it all year round.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we're very lucky in Victoria, where unlike other areas of the country where they're frozen off the water for periods of the year, it's so temperate here, we can get on the water year round.
So in the stadiums and social media posts and everything, everyone was doing the Viking air row. That's what I was calling it. Pretty cool, and getting exercise while you're seated. But tell us the difference between what they were doing and what you do on the water.
Oh, yeah. So, Norway, obviously, with the history of Viking rowers, they sat on fixed benches, so they're generating their power mostly from their trunk, shoulders, and arms. And that is a powerful but fundamentally different movement from modern Olympic rowing. So there's this big invention in the rowing world in the late 1800s, the sliding seat. Before then, rowers couldn't effectively use their legs, but the sliding seat allowed them to drive through their legs. And now the legs produce about 60% of the stroke's power in the rowing stroke, making it one of the few sports that truly engages nearly every major muscle group.
What age do you have to be? Is there a specific demographic, or can you pick it up at any time?
Pretty much any time. I mean, we typically have kids starting as young as 10 or 11, and we have people who start rowing who are picking it up for the first time into their 80s. We've had a couple people this year so far who are in their 80s trying a new sport, trying rowing for the first time.
And do you have to have any specialized equipment?
Other than the rowing boat, which we provide, that's about it.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah.
So you give lessons?
Special. Yes, we do. This time of year, especially, we have lessons running every week for youth. We have summer camps going. We also have larger adult learn-to-row programs, and heavily discounted if you bring a friend with you. So a great way to try something new on the water in Victoria.
Steve's looking interested right now.
Oh, Steve, we would love to have you.
Well, what I was going to say is I know this community has a great history when it comes to Olympic level rowing.
Oh, certainly. Oh, man, quite the history, especially with our club and rowing on Elk Lake in particular.
And don't a lot of people nationally come out to train here as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So Rowing Canada, Aviron, the national sport organization for rowing, has several training centers, one of which is on Elk Lake, and all of which are located on Vancouver Island. So it's quite the hub for anyone, any Olympic hopefuls. You're heading to the island if you want to be rowing at the highest level.
That's cool. That's cool.
Do you have to have, because I've seen them with the longer boats, do you have to have someone at the front drumming for you?
Yeah. So the modern in contemporary rowing, there is a role specifically for coordinating larger crews, larger groups. There are different types of rowing boats that we typically row in, one of which is called a 4 and one of which is called an 8. And both of those boat classes feature a coxswain, someone who is steering and coordinating the crew through calls. They used to speak through like a little megaphone that was sort of strapped to their head. Now they have quite fancy and more advanced electronic equipment, so they can use speakers to communicate with everybody in the boat. Not as much of the stroke-to-stroke row calls, but more technical cues, things that will inspire, bring the crew together, and focus them on the things that they need to focus on to get the most out of their session.
Draw straws for that role.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's a tight seat, so I find it can be hard to squeeze my butt into it, but I've done it a couple times and I really enjoy it.
Cool. We could get Holland in for a special event. Just do a cameo. I think that would do it.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. I mean, he is quite the figure. It's been quite the cultural phenomenon, and I know our young rowers and adult rowers alike have taken the Roo to our own waters.
Is that something, do you say Roo on the water when you're rowing?
I'm not typically, but okay. This last month has been an exception here and there.
Fair enough. We'll watch for you. The Vikings are invading.
Taking over.
Exactly. And where do you normally do this? What waterways do we see you on?
So for Victoria City Rowing Club, we're based entirely out of Elk and Beaver Lake Park, so just in the central Saanich Peninsula area there. Mm-hmm. And we've been on Elk and Beaver Lake since the 1950s, though the organization kind of got its start quite some time ago with the James Bay Athletic Association in 1886, one of the oldest organized sports on Vancouver Island in Victoria, certainly.
Very cool. And if someone wants to take lessons?
If someone wants to take lessons, they can visit our website, www.vcrc.bc.ca, or they can shoot us a call.
Very cool.
You can find all our info online. Yeah.
It's nice to see that the trend may be taking off for you, right?
Oh my gosh, certainly. I mean, it's again quite the cultural phenomenon, and whatever gets more people onto the water and having fun with us, that's makes me happy, guy.
Awesome, yeah, us too. It's quite a following and quite an amazing social media trend coming out of the World Cup. Thank you for joining us, Griffin.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Enjoy being out in the water today.
Will do. Enjoy the rest of your day, you too.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Victoria Symphony presents Symphony in the Summer Festival, July 10th through August 9th. Details at victoriasymphony.ca. Catch all the excitement of summer baseball with the Victoria Harbour Cats. More info at harbourcats.com. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured.
Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 7:31 on CFAX 1070 and CTV Vancouver Island. Steve subbing for Ryan this week. Chance of showers, perhaps a thunderstorm. Time for CFAX 1070 News. Here's Lisa Best.
Big jump in wildfire status over the past 24 hours. BC Wildfire Update today. As of this morning, we have 31 active fires burning province-wide. That's 14 new starts in the last day. 10 of these are considered out of control. We don't have any new fires burning on Vancouver Island, but of course that could change in a heartbeat, as we all know. BC fire officials have their eyes on the skies for some dry lightning strikes as wildfires burn across the southern interior.
Environment Canada says it's been so dry that any falling rain typically evaporates before hitting the ground. The province's fire season has so far been moderate, but the BC Wildfire Service says a recent surge in lightning strikes could trigger up to 150 fire starts in a single day. The parched conditions have triggered fire bans for some areas. The forecast comes as firefighters battle the Brunswick complex of fires, which increased fire activity earlier this week. Wildfire officials have said elevated activity is expected to persist through the dry lightning forecast. Aaron Sousa, The Canadian Press.
Things are worse. East of us, northwestern Ontario, fires have devastated several communities, forcing widespread evacuations and destroying homes and buildings in at least one First Nation area. As harrowing wildfire videos and photos emerge online. In a video posted to social media, the Premier of Ontario said the province will spare no expense to protect people and support fire efforts.
Last year, we added 100 new firefighting personnel, and this year we've added nearly 70 more. We've nearly doubled base funding for forest firefighting since 2018, and we're investing another $650 million to add 6 new water bombers and 5 helicopters to the provincial firefighting fleet.
850 fires currently burning across Canada. Prime Minister Mark Carney says Ottawa is working closely with the province's municipal and Indigenous leaders to provide assistance where needed. West Shore RCMP warning you about fraudulent letters that are impersonating police. The letter apparently falsely claims to be issued by the RCMP's National Cybercrime Coordination Center, or NC3 for short, and other organizations. It accuses you of serious criminal offenses and threatens that failure to respond within 24 hours or pay a fine, that should be a clue, or result in criminal prosecution and the public release of your identity. Now, RCMP say if you receive this kind of letter, ignore the demands, do not send them any money, don't communicate with them, and retain the letter's evidence. Report it to the Canada Anti-Fraud Centre, or you can call local police as well. Saanich police say a suspect's been arrested and charged in connection with a serious assault last weekend in Gorge Park. Police say patrol officers responded to reports of an assault near Craigflower Bridge last Saturday. Officers found a man suffering serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Kyle Dustin David Aird is facing a charge, 1 count of aggravated assault and 2 counts of breaching court-ordered conditions. Police say he remains in custody pending a bail hearing. RCMP investigating a fire that caused extensive damage up island at the Nanaimo Judo Club. Fire crews called to a building just before 5 Saturday morning. They say the fire appears to have started in an exterior stairwell before spreading through the ventilation system and into the attic. The building sustained extensive smoke and water damage. Fire crews were able to contain it to the structure, thankfully. The cause is under investigation, but it is suspicious. Anyone with information is asked to call Nanaimo RCMP. Eyebrow-raising move in the U.S. military camp. Secretary of State Pete Hegseth announcing service members 30 and older will receive annual testosterone screenings as part of the routine health assessment, and anyone with a deficiency will have the option to undergo replacement therapy.
For those who do have low levels, experts say there are effective treatments. It's the latest in Hegseth's push to reshape soldiers' health and fitness. He's ordered tougher fitness tests and daily physical training, declaring a crackdown on, quote, fat troops.
And that is your CFAX News to 7:35.
Home Show with Tony Joe.
Everyone wants to know about real estate. Is the market going up or down? Time to buy or sell? How can government programs and policies affect you? Hear from local experts on topics like appraisal, inspection, investment, and others on how to maximize your real estate sale.
Providing info on everything you needed to know about real estate. The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe. Saturdays at noon on CFAX 1070.
Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking if you like the idea of implementing a DNA match service on abandoned dog waste where owners can be found and fined. 58% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com or the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 7:37.
Thank you, Lisa. Mix of sun and cloud coming at you today. 30% chance of showers, changing to a 70% chance this afternoon. There's the risk of a thunderstorm as well. Winds becoming southeast 30 late this morning, except west 60 near the Juan de Fuca Strait this afternoon, a high near 20. Mainly cloudy tonight with a 70% chance of showers, changing to a 30% chance of drizzle around midnight. Risk of a thunderstorm this evening with a low near 14. Right now in downtown Victoria, 13 degrees. The South held on to beat the North 5-4 in the West Coast League All-Star Game last night at Royal Athletic Park. Victoria will host this event again next year as well. Harbour Cats, meanwhile, return to action tomorrow night at home against Wenatchee. Argentina scored 2 goals late to come from behind to beat England 2-1 at the World Cup. The defending champs will now face Spain in the final on Sunday. Pacific FC back in action this afternoon. They head to Hamilton in the Canadian Premier League to take on Forge FC. It's the first game for new head coach Terry Dunfield. The British Open underway. It's at Royal Birkdale this year. And a new face atop the leaderboard. It's Dan Brown and Sungjae Im, both at 4 under par, along with Bryson DeChambeau. $7:39 here at CFAX 1070 for a comfortable home, no matter what the season. And big savings on your heating bill? Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. Checking your traffic on the Trans-Canada, it is slow from Island Highway to the end of the construction zone, then speeds up before you get to Mackenzie. Things lightening up anywhere else. I don't see any crawl deer through Colwood today. Getting a little busy around Mayfair Shopping Centre on Douglas in particular, and as you approach the downtown core. On the markets, the TSX is down 125 points at 35,290. The Dow Jones up 18 at 52,677. The Nasdaq down 169 at 26,100. And the Canadian dollar's up 9 basis points at 71.3 cents U.S.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
You know, we've been talking about soccer a lot the last few weeks, but local soccer is going on as well.
Okay.
And a Saanich team is in a situation with BC Soccer. And we have this report from CTV Vancouver Island about this.
Controversial call by BC Soccer that has divided the sports community. 2 winning teams, all teenagers, were suddenly booted from the final, seemingly for doing what they were told. And tonight, the organization still hasn't explained why it was so heavy-handed. For the first time, we are hearing from upset parents. Penny Daflos has the story.
This video posted to social media became an ugly end to youth careers for players of the beautiful game.
It didn't count. We still needed to play the match.
Both teams had already won spots in the gold medal final, so this game was just a formality played with minimal effort. They allege parents from lower-ranked teams heckled the teens in Nanaimo last weekend in the group stage of the U17 Boys Provincial A-Cup tournament.
Recording us saying very hateful comments and harassing guys that were taking a bathroom break.
Parents acknowledged the 2 top teams were essentially running out the clock as directed by the Okanagan and Saanich coaches.
We would still be going on and playing in the gold medal match. So that the directive to the players was go out there and have fun.
We just didn't want to get injured for the gold medal match or anything, right?
The game ended with handshakes and everything seemed fine until the coaches got calls at 1 a.m.
Day of our gold medal match, the decision was made by BC Soccer to disqualify our teams with various other infractions to the coaches.
Okanagan FC has posted a statement accepting the decision and slamming their own U17 team's actions as non-competitive and unacceptable. The Saanich Fusion parents point out BC Soccer officials were there and an experienced ref was running the match.
Why didn't the official give a red card? Why didn't they give a yellow card? Why didn't an official just say, this has to end? Let me get some clarity here.
Which could have avoided a situation that's seen players mocked and criticized online.
Getting blamed or being called out in a way that actually has nothing to do with them. It's the adults involved in this situation that didn't handle the situation well.
CTV News has made multiple attempts to reach BC Soccer via email and at their downtown Vancouver offices. They still haven't addressed why no action was taken against players until that match video went viral online. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
There you have it.
So, were they coached to not compete?
They were just kicking a ball around.
But whose decision was to do that?
The coaches.
So why are the kids taking the heat? I mean, if they don't follow their coach's rules, there'd be ramifications to that, right?
Yeah, it's a bad situation all around.
Yeah. And so neither teams are competing now.
No, correct.
Oh my.
So here's what Steve looking at it with a broader view.
Okay.
If you've already advanced the 2 teams to the final,
yes,
why not make that game the final instead of going through the exercise of a nothing game?
Because it's adding insult to injury for the kids, because it wasn't their decision not to play like that. It was the coaches. And then not letting them play.
Sometimes I just don't like minor sports.
Well, when something like this happens, understandably.
Yeah, it's just, Anyway, I thought that was worth highlighting, especially since there was a Saanich team involved and all that, and a good report by Penny there.
Yes.
Going into depth. It would be nice if Soccer BC also put out a statement just telling us why they did what they did, so that we don't have to piece it together.
Agreed, but that usually comes later, no? It depends.
At 1 o'clock in the morning, can you imagine being the coach and getting that phone call at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Because those kids are looking forward to that next game.
Of course. And they were just following orders, from what we can tell there.
And this is supposed to be, and I stress this is supposed to be fun.
Somebody's getting competitive.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
It's supposed to be fun.
This will still be unpacked.
Supposed to be fun. 7:45. Here's Lisa with your news headlines.
At 9 this morning, the federal transport minister will be over on the West Coast, meeting with the BC Transportation and Transit Minister Mike Farnworth and Indigenous leaders and also officials at the Port of Vancouver. There'll be an announcement at the port, so we'll bring you details on that as it becomes available. And the fire situation, the number of wildfires ticking up as lightning strikes across BC's southern interior make an appearance. Provincial officials warning That combined with the parched ground could trigger a surge of ignition. We've seen quite a big jump from 20 earlier in the week to 31 fires now burning, 14 new starts in the past day. No new fires on Vancouver as of yet, but as a precaution, campfire ban coming into effect at noon today. That will be added to the ban in the Category 2 and 3 fire bans. Except for one small area, Prince George Centre. There's parts of Vancouver Island, too, around our area, the Sunshine Coast, Haida Gwaii. So check ahead before you light a fire. Over 850 fires in total burning across Canada. Manitoba is dealing with 140. The hardest hit areas are Northern Ontario, Quebec, and Northwest Territories. In Alberta judge has extended a special court order freezing millions of dollars in belongings belonging to a prominent separatist. Justice John Gill says the move is justified given questions surrounding payments from a Tall Cree First Nation Trust Fund and lawyer Jeffrey Rath, who was in charge of it. The decision affirms another made last week to grant an injunction freezing up to $8.5 million in assets held by Rath and his law firm. And a handful of federal ministers are expected to address hundreds of First Nations chiefs today at the annual general meeting of the Assembly of First Nations. They're gathering in Ottawa to speak about public safety, the economy, and natural resources developments, as well as social services for those communities. That's your news to 747.
From unforgettable upsets and last-minute winners to the plays that brought the entire world to its feet. Leading to one moment, the 2026 FIFA World Cup Final.
They have Georgia on their minds and a World Cup to look forward to.
This Sunday, July 19th. Every match, every moment, 2026 FIFA World Cup. Stream it live on TSN Radio.
With precision.
Available on iHeartRadio.
$7:49 here at CFAX 1070. Checking your traffic situation. Trans-Canada Victoria bound. Slow from Island Highway till the curve. And then it improves dramatically at that point. Things lightening up through Colwood and View Royal at this hour. Things getting a little slow on Douglas as you approach Mayfair Shopping Center in the Saanich Core. Everywhere else in good shape. Next available sailing is the 8 o'clock sailing out of Swartz Bay for the mainland. There's 14% available deck space. Everything's still on time at the airport.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
And we're going to talk about electricity, one of the favorite topics that the BC government has been focused on. Build, build, build seems to be the mantra of the day as BC Hydro issues calls for power. The province eyes a new dam, and there's increasing talk of what a southern route pipeline could look like. But some advocates argue we're missing out on some other key investments. New Economy Canada's Nancy Wright recently penned a column in Business in Vancouver, which describes what we are doing now as a drop in the bucket of meeting the electricity demand for the coming decade. She's joining us now. Good morning, Nancy. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Steve. Nice to be here.
Well, I think you've encapsulated some of us. What some of us are asking is, how are we going to meet all these demands that we're putting on electricity in this province?
Yes. Well, while many forecasts suggest that electricity demand will double by 2050, BC Hydro's new energy plan is planning for only half of that, so basically a 50% increase in supply. And that gap should concern British Columbians and certainly any business leader focused on growth and competitiveness, which, is pretty much every business. And this conservatism, it's born from a regulatory process concerned about the risk to ratepayers of overbuilding the system and driving up rates. So while it may have served British Columbians in the past, it just isn't fit for purpose in today's economic reality when demand for new electricity, whether for a mine or a data center, an electric bus, whatever it is, can show up far faster than new supply can be planned for, never mind built. And what makes this so interesting is that BC is planning for less growth than it says it wants. BC's own clean energy strategy and the BC NDP's 2024 election platform pledged to double supply by 2050, yet BC Hydro's latest plan falls well short of that ambition. So there's definitely a disconnect there.
So where do we get that additional capacity? What are these opportunities you're talking about?
Well, it can come from a number of sources. It can come from wind. It can come from solar. It's additional hydro, so from dams, potentially from nuclear. Down the road, nuclear is not really in BC's plan to include right now, but batteries, all these different things, geothermal. It might also come from tidal or possibly offshore wind on the northwest coast. We might also see more transmission connections with Alberta, which would allow us to trade more with our neighbors. Their wind and solar is actually cheaper than ours, and our hydro can help them out when renewables aren't producing. So both provinces would stand to benefit.
And hydro affordability in this province is one of the edges businesses have. So if you ever took that away, it would really put the business community in a tougher spot.
Well, it would, but there's different elements to this. When you're building more electricity and you're electrifying more businesses, that means that you have more ratepayers to spread the costs out over. So it's not necessarily, a one-to-one. So you have that advantage. But really what we're talking about here, Steve, is that this is an economic infrastructure conversation. And because of that, that's where you can justify having the province and potentially the federal government kick in to pay for some of this infrastructure and building more electricity capacity. Because before, decades ago, economic development was built on roads and railroads. Now it's built around electricity. The International Energy Agency has coined this the age of electricity because globally, capital investment in clean electricity and grids and the industries that depend on them is actually now far greater than investment in conventional energy.
I found one of the things interesting about the proposal that Meta put forward in Alberta recently was that they're building their own plant to supply the electricity they need to operate it. Is that going to become more commonplace moving forward?
I think so. That was a stipulation by the Alberta government. They said they're happy to have the plant, but you have to bring your own power. So that is one way of doing it. But really, we should be planning far ahead to have that electricity available, because by planning ahead, we can make it clean electricity, abundant electricity, and that brings all kinds of things with it. So, and honestly, we're not just talking about data centers here. All kinds of industry is really chomping at the bit for more electricity, like mining, manufacturing, the LNG industry itself. So it's a bigger story than actually just AI.
And it's transportation's reliant on this as well.
Very much so. Transportation is reliant on it. Fleets are starting to electrify. People are buying EVs. I mean, that obviously takes a bigger draw on the grid, although not as much as you would think, because a lot of charging can be done overnight when electricity is cheaper and it's not as in such high demand. But yes, I mean, there are many industries that are needing more electricity. I mean, if you want to build houses, you need more electricity. If you want to build roads or ports, all of these things are requiring electricity, and we simply have to have enough.
So I'm going to put you into Adrian Dix's office. He's, of course, the Minister of Energy for the province. If you sat down with him right now, what would you like to see him? What would you advise him to do?
Well, we actually have sat down with Adrian Dix about this. But, I mean, really it comes down to three things. Plan for demand earlier, build transmission sooner, i.e. now, and align electricity planning with the province's economic strategy, which it is not right now.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, and thanks for bringing it to our attention. I think we're hearing this more and more, that we're going to need big, and we're going to need to think big. So thanks for joining us.
You're welcome, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Nancy Wright.
CFAX Victoria,
An iHeartRadio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, Vancouver Island. It's coming up to 8 o'clock on Thursday, July the 16th. Steve in for Ryan this week. Chance of showers. Could be a thunder boomer out there this afternoon. Time for CFAX 1070 News. Here's Lisa Best.
Thanks, Steve. Good morning. Meta Platforms has started notifying parents using Instagram supervision tools if their teen is discussing suicide or self-harm with the chatbot Meta AI. Professor of Child and Youth Studies at Brock University, Sean Pomerantz, says it's a good idea, but it's likely being bypassed by crafty kids.
Young people are very good at just figuring out words to use that don't trip the wires. And I think that's going to be a hole or a flaw in the system. And so while I do think this is a step in the right direction, I also think that Meta and parents have to be practical and aware and honest about young people's abilities to circumvent any kind of surveillance.
Meta says the news alerts launched today in Canada, the U.S., U.K., and Australia. They'll be rolled out globally by the end of the year. In health news, Canada's drug agency is now recommending that a public drug plan pay for a treatment shown to slow the progression of early-stage Alzheimer's. Lecanemab is an antibody that delivers targets the buildup of plaque in the brain. That's believed to be the underlying cause of the disease. Health Canada approved it last fall, but Canada's drug agency recommended against publicly funding it in February due to concerns about effectiveness and the possibility of side effects of brain swelling or bleeding. The agency now says eligible patients will be allowed to access the drug. Those who only have mild cognitive impairment can apply. According to the Canadian Consortium of Neurodegeneration of Aging, this is relevant because the cost of this drug, $32,000 a year. In an industry plagued with layoffs and shrinkage, CBC Radio Canada says it's expanding its English and French news divisions with 5 new bureaus.
The public broadcaster says journalists will be based in Beijing, Jerusalem, Los Angeles, Mexico City, and an undecided location in Europe. CBC currently has bureaus in London, New York City, and Washington, among other places. Officials say there will also soon be a permanent presence in Africa. They say the expansion comes at a time when many international stories could have an impact on Canada. It also comes after CBC became a full member of the European Broadcasting Union. The broadcaster also says Radio Canada will launch a weekly French international news program this fall. Aaron Sousa, The Canadian Press.
With another night of the U.S. and Iran trading barbs, airstrikes, and increased hostilities with one another, the stalemate in the Strait of Hormuz continues as the world sees ships halted once again. ABC News contributor and former Defense Department official Mick Mulroy has more on what prices could be impacted if this stalemate continues.
So it's 21% of the world's energy supply, and that matters to every country. Yes, the United States gets less of our energy from the region, but when there's less energy around the world, then everybody pays more. We've already seen that. With gas prices, the other part of this, there's many key minerals that come out of this region, including 30% of what we use to produce food.
Speaking of food, a growing alarm over that severe stomach bug that is spreading across the U.S.
The intestinal illness called cyclosporiasis that causes fatigue, fever, and an explosive upset stomach is now on the rise in 34 states, with the CDC reporting nearly 7,000 confirmed or probable cases. The epicenter is in Michigan, where doctors tell us they typically see less than 50 cases per year. Now it's up to 600 per day.
This is spread on produce, everything from lettuce to raspberries. And if you have a flight booked on WestJet, you could be in for turbulence within the next 2 weeks. Airline flight attendants, all 4,400, could be on strike by August 2nd.
It sucks for the travelers, for sure.
It may not come to that, but today, 99.4% of WestJet flight attendants voted in favor of a strike.
The last thing we want to do is go on strike. That's the absolute last thing we want to do.
CUPE says WestJet flight attendants work on average 35 unpaid hours a month, including during flight delays on the tarmac and during boarding.
We don't really have a choice. We need unpaid work addressed.
This as the war in between U.S. and Iran is causing more and more high gas prices. Airlines are spending a lot to get you to and from. United will spend at least $6 billion in added fuel costs this year, and will be paying for that.
United Airlines in an SEC filing signaled airfares will remain high for the remainder of the year. The airline says it spent $2.3 billion on fuel during this quarter alone, roughly 84% compared to the second quarter last year. United says it was able to cover half the increased fuel costs by raising airfares, saying passengers paid about 12% more per mile than a year ago. At the same time, United says passengers are not backing away from traveling, noting flights remain full across all booking classes. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
That's your news to 8:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. We're asking, do you like the idea of implementing a DNA match service on abandoned dog waste where owners can be found and fined? 62% saying yes on our website, but that flips to 61% saying no on Twitter X. You can vote at cfax1070.com, Twitter X, and also the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 8:06.
I think we need to go through some viewer mail because we appreciate people chiming in. One viewer does not like my shirt because it's Hendrick Motorsports and they're a Joe Gibbs Racing fan.
Okay.
And says Seabell's been so close. And he has been. I've been cheering him on. And I don't really like HMS, but I do like Kyle. Your comment about the price of campgrounds around Tofino.
Mm-hmm.
Tofino has now gotten too expensive. I'm heartbroken. We've gone there every year since 1990. Are they making more campgrounds? I heard there was one being built near Jordan River.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's not Tofino. It's more Port Renfrew way, but you know, anywhere you get in the wilderness. I just had some sticker shock when I learned that a campsite was $140.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an expensive picnic table.
On the fire issue, we live in a subdivision. There are a lot of people who walk through our area, which is wonderful. However, walking on the area where the pathway is non-existent, we have to use the road. We're constantly surprised at the number of cigarette butts thrown out onto the road. What makes that right? If you're going to smoke and you don't have an ashtray in your vehicle, then carry a water bottle with water in it and throw your used butt in there, not on the road where it's still smoking. There's lots of leaves and needles that could catch fire. Please do better.
Agreed. Every year we have the same message, but it takes everybody to do the heavy lifting. We just, the campfire ban is coming in at noon today for a reason, and we want to be able to have fires, but it's so dry, and it spreads so fast. So, yeah.
CJ likes what you're wearing. Lisa, I really like what you're wearing, too.
Is that Yeah, the two part is because we were talking so much about your jersey.
Yeah,
that's fine. Well, I'm not as colorful as Steve today. I go muted when Steve goes bright. He's our peacock.
Thank you. I think 3 years ago in the morning on my way to work, I saw Mackenzie Avenue between the TELUS building and sidewalk. There was a man that had a small fire. I called police.
Yeah, depends what time of day it is, and someone had a fire on Esquimalt Road. There was a cheery campfire where it shouldn't have been. So, yeah, don't light fires.
When you said I don't have words in the morning, I know what you meant. But with you being a radio broadcaster, it made me smile. Aw.
Did you say that or did I say that?
You said that.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. So you're making CJ smile. Thank you.
Oh, that's nice.
Good morning. When I first went to Long Beach, it was permitted to drive on the beach, camping free. Today, $140 per night for a subdivision-style campsite is in no way appealing to my free spirit soul. Time change. Have a good one. That's Dawn.
Yeah.
So
you can understand why people go stealth camping. You know, when you have to pay those kind of prices, but be aware, there's dangers to that too.
Yeah, it's just more complicated than it used to be. Let's be honest. It is.
Because everybody wants to go to the wilderness. Ever since the pandemic hit, that was the one thing we could do. We could all get out in the wilderness. You were social distancing out in the wilderness, and camping took off.
Yeah,
and it hasn't calmed down, which is fine, as long as we're prudent about protecting the wilderness.
Yeah, so much can be linked back to that one thing.
Yeah. We don't think we never light a fire to think it's going to get out of control.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're all caught up on the emails.
Okay, good.
Thank you for taking the time. We do appreciate it, and the input is welcome. So thank you for that. Your weather forecast for Greater Victoria, mix of sun and cloud today, 30% chance of showers, changing to a 70% chance of showers this afternoon. There's the risk of a thunderstorm with a high near 20. Mainly cloudy tonight, 70% chance of showers, changing to 30% chance of drizzle near midnight. There's a risk of a thunderstorm this evening as well with a low near 14. On your sports scoreboard, the South held on to beat the North 5-4 in the West Coast League All-Star game last night at Royal Athletic Park. Victoria will host the event again next year as well. Harbour Cats, meanwhile, return to action tomorrow night at home against Wenatchee. The full NHL schedule will be released later today. The Canucks' first home game will be on October 1st against Edmonton. Trevor Zegras has signed a 4-year deal with the Philadelphia Flyers. It's worth just over $9 million per season. Olympic View golf superintendent TJ Kramer has been awarded the Master Superintendent designation by BC Golf. The British Open going on at this hour at Royal Birkdale. Sunjay Im and Dan Brown are your clubhouse leaders at 4 under par. Nick Taylor of Abbotsford's dropped back given back a couple of shots on the back nine. He's now at 1 under par, 3 strokes off the pace through 17. CFAX Mornings are brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Their buy one, get one free event is on right now. Stock up on some of the items that your family enjoys the most. See your flyer for details. Checking your traffic situation, things continuing to improve, lighten up. There's still a couple of go-slow zones on the Trans-Canada Highway right around the interchanges, the Helmkin interchange and the Island Highway interchange as you're Victoria bound. If you're headed northbound towards Nanaimo, everything is in good shape there this morning. A little slow going through the core of Saanich and picks up once you get past Hillside. On the markets, the TSX is down 68 points at 35,347. The Dow Jones up 140 at 52,799. And the NASDAQ down 192 points at 26,076. The Canadian dollar up 2 basis points at 71.2 cents U.S.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
What was your favorite cartoon growing up?
Oh, gosh. Okay. So are we talking about like reading the comics kind of cartoon or?
No, more the Saturday morning smorgasbord of that we used to have.
Probably Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny.
Roadrunner.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
I was a big Underdog fan.
Okay.
I loved Sweet Polly Purebred.
Yeah, okay.
And Rocket J Squirrel. One of my favorites.
Synapses are firing to find this. I don't know. Okay, yeah.
Where I'm going here is somebody is returning to the big screen.
Who?
Here we're going to find out. Mark Mayfield's going to tell us.
Alvin!
A report in the Wall Street Journal says the untitled reboot will not hit theaters until late 2028, but that fans are going to be seeing a lot of their favorite chipmunks on social media starting later this year. Big Shot Pictures, who will be producing the new film, says it wants to cultivate a fan base on social platforms ahead of the movie, targeting a younger audience that gets most of its entertainment online. The last 4 Chipmunks movies made over $1 billion worldwide. I'm Mark Mayfield.
What? $1 billion?
Theodore
Those
is well
squirrels.
heeled.
Wow. I knew a squirrel could.
Like Alvin gets the headlines, but Theodore is counting his cash.
They say squirrel and a cha-ching synonymous. I had no idea it would make those movies made that much money.
See, and Dave just sits there and gets trampled on by the chipmunks, and he's raking in the cash.
Still don't want his job, though.
Yes. Alvin! coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's something to look forward to.
There you go.
Yeah.
2028, the Chipmunks returning to a screen near you.
Got some time.
Here's Lisa with your news headlines.
The European Union has issued 2 new rules for Google to force it to share search data and open up its Android operating system to rival artificial intelligence companies. In the latest attempt to rein in the tech's behemoth deep control of the digital economy, the EU says it will still support innovation and diversity in the field by enabling fair access to AI features on Android devices and search engines. The president of Global Affairs for Google says the new rule could backfire by removing safeguards the company had built to protect user privacy. By January, Google must also be sharing anonymized search data with some rivals. A new study says AI chatbots are at risk of spreading government restrictions on online speech. The Meta Oversight Board study shows that major artificial intelligence systems are more likely to refuse to criticize restrictive leaders or governments. It raises concerns that the large language models powering chatbots could be regurgitating and spreading government influence over online speech as the tech is increasingly adopted worldwide. The findings come as countries are determined to be putting up guardrails around AI without impeding their ability to compete in the rapidly developing world. And last year marked a record high for romance scams. In North America, the growth of romance scams comes as a part of the acute socialization that was ushered in by the COVID pandemic and the lockdowns. Scientists have found that humans evolved to rely on each other. Our brains are hardwired to seek out relationships and community for survival. Love is a necessity, just like food, water, and shelter. The guilt and shame and social stigma surrounding these scams compound the loneliness of victims that propels many into these situations in the first place. That's your news to 8:18.
For a comfortable home, no matter what the season, and big savings on your heating bill, talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. And traffic continuing to lighten up a little bit as the morning rush is almost over. It's a little slow on the Trans-Canada right in front of Victoria General Hospital till you get to the curve as you're Victoria bound. After that, it improves. A little slow on Veterans Memorial Parkway as well once you get past Goldstream before you get to the Trans-Canada. Everywhere else is in pretty good shape. On the Pat Bay Highway, it's a little slow around Elk Lake, Beaver Lake Regional Park, basically where the stoplights are. It's a little backed up, but nothing too bad. At the ferry terminal, the next available sailing is at 9 o'clock, 26% available deck space.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
I'm sensing a theme here, Lisa. Yesterday, we talked about doggy doo. Today, we're talking sewage. I'm just seeing a trend.
You should warn us to put our forks and spoons down before you go down that path.
The Comox Valley Regional District plans to pursue an investigation into the sewer leak event. Remember back in late May?
Sure do.
Which left many residents having to forego showers, flushing toilets, and using other amenities as staff scrambled to stabilize the situation over the next several hours. We connected with them back at the time, at least Ryan did, and we heard it was a bit of a nightmare scenario. After an extensive water testing, the last of the precautionary warnings in the harbor and the estuary were able to be lifted by June 3rd. But the memory of what happened is still front of mind. Director Doug Hillen is joining us now. Good morning, Doug. Thanks for joining us again.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
So I know you did a review, which is always important. That's a good sign, when we just don't accept what happened. We try to get to the bottom of it. What did the district decide to do with that review?
Well, first of all, I really appreciate your commentary about the cleanup that took place, and I want to say that we recognize this was a major disaster. It could have been much worse, but for all the efforts of staff, the agencies, Comox First Nation, the people who actually did the work to control this spill. But the contractor who was responsible did, in fact, do an investigation and has accepted responsibility for the mistakes made. It's a professional engineer that did that, and we received that report and reviewed it. And we felt that it would be good practice to have an independent review, just to make sure we haven't missed anything, to look at the results of that initial investigation and assure that all the lessons that could be learned from this have been learned, and that we can make sure that we've got everything in place to make sure that nothing like this happens again.
Doug, does that mean in accepting blame, he'll be covering any expenses?
Well, that's something that will be sorted out, but the contractor has, in fact, accepted responsibility, yes.
Okay, it's a start. What is there a tab for cleaning up? Like go back to what did it entail in having to clean this up? Because I know it was sort of in fits and starts, and it took a while to get a handle on it.
Well, I don't have the precise numbers, and we're still looking at what the impact has been on the surrounding community.
Right.
But we'll have those numbers in due course. What the independent review is going to look at is are the conclusions of the initial investigation substantiated? Is there anything more that could be done in the process leading up to this? Are there construction oversight standards? Anything of that nature that we just need to be aware of. What are the lessons learned, and how do we make sure that we've got the engineering practices, the operational procedures, the emergency preparedness in place to deal with something like this? We don't want this to ever happen again. But in looking at all the aspects of it, making sure that we've learned the lessons, that's how we make sure of that.
Just from a visual standpoint, with the nature that surrounds that area that's so important to that area, have you noticed any differences just visually?
Well, probably the people who live right in the adjacent area would be the ones who could comment on that. No, there's no significant visual difference to somebody who is going along the water. The area where the spill was contained, there's still some sludge in there, and there's been the question of why don't we take heavy machinery in and clean that up, and in fact that would be more damaging to the environment, and so that's why we're avoiding that, and there's ongoing monitoring and testing going on, and there will be further cleanup while we let nature also take its course.
And nature is resilient at its base, so that's good to hear. Now,
sunshine and salt water are excellent disinfectants.
That was well put,
That is
sir.
true.
Have residents been calling for this review as well?
Well, we did have a delegation from the residents of the immediate area who did, in fact, ask for an independent review. That was at our first sewage commission meeting after this event. And it's likely that we would have looked into an independent review in any case. But certainly it's something that local residents wanted, and they've been very receptive to the fact that we've decided to go ahead and do this.
Has anything of this nature happened before? Like, are you sort of forging new ground here?
Well, one of the things that we asked staff to do when we asked them to investigate having an independent review was to look at what has happened in other jurisdictions when an event of this nature has taken place. And we're not looking at exactly the same circumstances. Public utilities are generally well managed and well maintained, but there are occasions where things go wrong. And we did find that in other jurisdictions, it was good practice to have an independent review take place, an investigation that was separate from the initial work that had been done. And so that's part of the reason that we agreed to go in this direction. In terms of has anything like this happened before, we've never had anything of this nature happen in the Comox Valley. Certainly not in the 46 years that I've lived here. And we certainly, I said at our commission meeting where we had the delegation present that, it didn't escape us the irony that this is a project that is designed to get the sewage force main out of the foreshore and prevent an environmental disaster. And here we are in the worst possible scenario. And as I said before, the efforts of our staff and the agencies involved made sure that this was not even worse. And we think that there are a lot of lessons to be learned, and the independent review will help us in that regard.
Well, thanks for joining us and bringing us up to date on all this. And I'm sure we'll check in once you've got that independent review in your hands.
Yeah, it'll take a few months, and you may well be dealing with some different people at the table, given that we have a local election coming up in October. But one way or the other, the work will go on, and we'll have the documents will be made public when they're available.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks very much.
Doug Hillen, Board Director for the Comox Valley Regional District.
This summer, 3 of Vancouver Island's biggest voices are coming together to make a real difference.
Get your tickets now for the Kids Count Mega Summer 50/50.
Brought to you by 107.3 Virgin Radio, CFAX 1070, and CTV.
In support of CFAX Santa's Anonymous all-new Kids Count program, supporting children beyond Christmas.
The Mega Summer 50/50.
Your chance to win big while giving back.
Buy your tickets today at CFAX1070.com.
Gaming event license 174660. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 8:31 here on CFAX 1070 and CTV Vancouver Island. Steve in for Ryan this week. Chance of a shower. Could have a thunderstorm this afternoon or this evening. Time for CFAX 1070 News. Here's Lisa Best.
Thanks, Steve. Good morning. A new poll from RBC shows how we BCers are managing emergencies and unexpected expenses. And yes, it's tough. The findings show many are making difficult trade-offs between saving and spending amid the high cost of living. Data shows about a third have faced expenses over the past year, emergency expenses. The average price tag for the largest emergency expense was nearly $6,000. Now, 51% say they worry about having enough saved for a rainy day emergency. 42% are concerned one unexpected major expense could derail their finances, and 34% say they worry about small unplanned costs that would be difficult to absorb. If an emergency hit, 50% asked said they would use their emergency fund to dip into. 34% would rely on a credit card. 16% would borrow from family and friends. And 18% of BCers asked say they've never considered how they would cover an emergency expense. A man and a woman at the center of that widespread Taylor Swift ticket scam in Toronto in 2023 have pled guilty to one count each of defrauding the public. CTV's Sean Lathong has details from court.
She has had no effort to repay anyone.
According to the agreed statement of facts in this case, 107 Taylor Swift ticket purchasers from across southern Ontario purchased $265,330 worth of tickets from Denise Tizer. Also, documents show that Blake and Tizer were aware that they were defrauding their victims, saying Miss Tizer and Mr. Blake used $139,144 of these funds to place multiple online gambling bets on various platforms.
In a post on social media, Tizer offered an apology and an explanation of sorts, saying her decision stemmed from a gambling addiction that had completely taken over her life. Meta announcing a new safety feature this week, rolling out that will notify a parent if a teen's conversation with the company's AI program suggests they may be considering suicide or self-harm.
Meta says it built a dedicated AI system to identify these types of high-risk conversations, working with experts and parents to determine which types of conversations should warrant an alert. And as an additional safeguard, any chat flagged by AI will be reviewed by a human before an alert is sent. And they say if the teen's intent is ambiguous, they will err on the side of caution.
Sydney Council approving a temporary use permit for an extreme weather shelter at St. Andrew Anglican Church. The overnight shelter will be operated by Beacon Community Services and will open only when severe weather hits, putting people experiencing homelessness at risk. The temporary permit is good for up to 3 winter seasons. The town of Sydney says BC Housing is expected to cover the shelter's operating and staffing costs. Stateside, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is making that eyebrow-raising announcement firm. He says service members aged 30 and older will receive annual testosterone screenings as part of their routine health assessment. Those diagnosed with a deficiency will have the option to undergo testosterone replacement therapy.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is rolling out a new program to screen troops for low testosterone.
Ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best.
The test will be part of annual health screenings for troops 30 and older. Younger troops can volunteer to be tested. Any treatment would be up to the individual soldier.
And negotiations between the U.S. and Iran apparently stalled on both sides. They're threatening more airstrikes. Here's Karen Travers.
Yesterday, the president said that Iran is not happy right now, doesn't like what the United States is doing, and he says Iran wants to settle, but no indication at this point of where negotiations go, because Iran, of course, continues to fire back every time the United States has launched another wave of strikes over the last 5 days.
Gas prices still holding firm around 189.9 here in Greater Victoria. That's your news to 8:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. Do you like the idea of implementing a DNA match service on abandoned dog waste where owners can be found and fined? 62% saying yes on our website, but that number flips to 61% saying no on Twitter X. We have Katie Hamilton standing by in a few minutes. She's a dog owner 2 times over. She's going to weigh in on this because it's just an idea because there's a company that actually has it. But you can vote for the time being at CFAX1070.com and the iHeartRadio app as well. I'm Lisa Sebastian, News Time, 8:37.
You've been running the story today about the testosterone replacement therapy. So I did a little digging.
Okay.
I went to the Mayo Clinic because they know about stuff.
They do.
Benefits often include improved energy, libido, and muscle mass, but it requires medical supervision.
Right.
Due to risks like blood clots and prostate growth. One of the delivery methods is a gel or cream, but you have to take care to prevent transferring that gel or cream to women and children.
There's always these side effects, right?
Regular blood work is required to monitor for high red blood cell counts, which can increase those clot risks. Other side effects include acne, sleep apnea, and breast swelling.
Wow.
So if you're going to do this, Pete, you better have more doctors and stuff around because...
Well,
yeah, I'm just saying, anything has to be monitored.
I agree.
When you're messing around with stuff like this.
Yeah, hormone replacement therapy, absolutely. Whatever the hormone is, you have to monitor it. And that's a lot of people.
That's what I'm saying. I can't see them doing this. And how are you going to take care of that in a war zone? Like, you're the director of war. You're not the director of defense anymore.
You're asking relevant questions, Steve.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't do that. Mix of sun and cloud today. 30% chance of showers, changing to 70% chance this afternoon. Risk of a thunderstorm, a high near 20. Mainly cloudy tonight. 70% chance of showers, changing to drizzle near midnight. Risk of a thunderstorm this evening with a low near 14. Mainly cloudy tomorrow. 30% chance of drizzle early in the morning, clearing late in the morning with a high near 20. The outlook for the weekend, mix of sun and cloud Saturday, 22. Sunny on Sunday, 23. Right now in downtown Victoria, 14 degrees. Checking sports today here on CFAX 1070. All-Star festivities have wrapped up after the South held on to beat the North 5-4 in the West Coast League All-Star game last night at Royal Athletic Park. Meanwhile, Argentina on to the World Cup finale.
This is your TSN Radio FIFA World Cup 2026 update.
I'm John Rodenberg. The World Cup final is set, and Argentina will have a chance to defend its championship after staging a second-half comeback to break England's hopes again with a 2-1 victory. After England grabbed a 55th-minute opener, Argentina began to press for the equalizer and eventually found it in the 85th minute. With the clock ticking and added time and overtime looming, Lionel Messi went to work.
Messi. Oh, and England are in trouble. Maybe through Lautaro Martinez. They're going out to the semi-final stage.
Lautaro Martinez headed in the Messi cross for the winner in the 93rd minute, sent Argentina into Sunday's final against Spain. For England, more heartbreak as it lost in the semi-final for the third time since last winning the World Cup in 1966. You can watch the FIFA World Cup matches on TSN, CTV, Crave, and streaming at tsn.ca. Listen on the TSN Radio Network with all games streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
If you notice in that clip, when Messi makes that great cross to set up the goal, the broadcaster there, who is obviously English, doesn't say goal.
Right.
It's England are in trouble.
Stiff upper lip.
I'm just saying, as an announcer, I feel for you, buddy. I feel for you. But it was just like, oh.
So I have a question, which could be a dumb one. Is it Lionel or Lionel? How did we say his first name? Messi.
13 people would say it 13 different ways.
Oh, okay. Because the next dinner party was going to get really awkward if I didn't get that right. So I feel better.
A tip: if you just say Messi and leave out his first name, you're good.
Okay. Messi. I'm in the know. Let me go.
There we go. That's your sports update to 8:41. For a comfortable home, no matter what the season, and big savings on your heating bill, talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. Checking your ferry situation off the top. Next available sailing at 9 a.m., 17% available deck space. Hourly sailings after that. One note, the 12 o'clock noon sailing only has 5% available deck space available. Just keep that in mind for planning purposes. Still slow, Victoria bound on the Trans-Canada, basically from Thetis Lake Regional Park until you get to the curve. Improves after that. A little more congested downtown at this hour as well. Everything looks good on the Pat Bay Highway except where the stoplight is by Elk Beaver Lake Regional Park. You might end up being there for a couple of traffic lights. On the markets, TSX down 56 points at 35,359. Dow Jones up 160 at 52,818. NASDAQ down 154 at 26,115. And the Canadian dollar up 2 basis points at 71.2 cents U.S.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Making some waves with this question. The poll question is asking you today, do you like the idea of implementing a DNA match service on abandoned dog waste where owners can be found and fined? Now, we got 62% saying yes on our website, 61% saying no on Twitter X. Now, this is Poo Prints Canada Representative Gary Bradmore and how it works.
So the pet owner would cheek swab their own dog, and the staff member would send it down to our lab. Within a very short period of time, our lab captures the DNA specific to that dog. That DNA allocated to that particular dog is then downloaded into our database, which is the DNA World Pet Registry.
Nothing set in stone. This is not a City Hall initiative. This is just a question because the science exists. So we go to Hamilton in the Highlands. Katie Hamilton joins us now. She is a pet owner twice over. Katie, what's your thoughts on this?
Good morning, Lisa and Steve. I mean, we were talking about it yesterday. It's kind of a funny, unique concept. I mean, I guess it's come to that where dog waste is being left, and it's we got a responsibility as pet owners, right, to clean up after our dogs. So I mean, this might be the way to hold people accountable.
It could be. You have 2 dogs. Tell us what you have. Tell us about your family members.
I do. I have Moose, who's my Bernese Mountain Dog, and then I have Leo, who's my German Shepherd.
And what do you see around town that you like and don't like about being responsible and not?
Well, absolutely. I mean, my dogs are actually, they live on some acreage, so they are overscheduled for their washroom breaks, right? And especially Moose, he knows that he can't get in the car to go for a drive and go for an outing unless he goes to the washroom. Mm-hmm. And I know not every dog is like that, but it's definitely helpful for me. So when we are there, you don't have it. But of course, you're out for a walk, out for a hike, or you could even be like yesterday when I was walking from work from my car, you smell something and you go, oh no, that initial, did I step in something? And we talk about not only stepping in something or a kid falling in something, but also other dogs too, right? There's some dogs that might go up and smell it. Who knows? I'm not a dog poo print expert, but what if there's something in the waste, right, that our dogs might smell or something like that as well? So, I mean, I don't know how I feel about the whole DNA process of it, but I do think that that people definitely need to help out and clean up after their dogs.
Thank you. It's good to have input from a double dog owner.
Absolutely. I could talk dogs all day.
Dogs and soccer.
We may exactly soccer as well. We might call you on that because a lot of people weighing in on this question. A lot of people saying, "Wait a minute, who's paying for this? How's it going to work? I don't know if I want my dog's DNA out there." But the idea is out there because the technology's out there. So it's always worth asking the question.
Katie, can you do?
Absolutely, and yeah. Oh, sorry, Steve.
Can you do me a favor?
Of course.
Can you rub their ears because dogs like that?
Rub their ears. I have my dog sitting right beside me right now, Moose. He's looking at me like, you're going to be leaving for CFAX soon, aren't you? So I'll give him a big Steve cuddle for you.
Thank you. That's all I ask.
We'll see you soon,
Absolutely.
Katie. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye.
Here's Lisa with your news headlines.
We've had a big jump in fires overnight. 31 active fires burning province-wide. We had 20-something yesterday. We've had 14 new starts in the last 24 hours. 10 of those are considered out of control. We have no new fires burning on Vancouver Island at the moment. But, of course, that could change shortly with our dry conditions. The campfire ban coming into play at noon today. That involves the Coastal Fire Center with a few exceptions. You don't need to check ahead if you're planning to have a fire. If you go camping, there are 850 wildfires across Canada, many still out of control. Manitoba dealing with 140, but the areas worst hit, Northern Ontario, Quebec, and the Northwest Territories. A new poll shows Canadians hold a more favorable view of China than the U.S. under Donald Trump's leadership. Pew Research found 2 in 5 Canadians hold that view, while 3 in 5 say they feel the same way about both the U.S. and China. 35% said they would trust Chinese President Xi Jinping to do the right thing. That's nearly double the 20% who felt the same way about Donald Trump. And that is your news to 8:49.
Where the noise stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations. From major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show. Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Mornings are brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Their buy one, get one free event is on now. Stock up on some of the items that your family enjoys the most. See their flyer for details. We got some issues out there on Mackenzie. A mechanical problem for a BC Transit bus. There's fluid down and traffic is backed up all the way to the Pat Bay overpass. Thanks to the texter at 71010 for letting us know about that. Looking at the traffic map, it is basically slow in spots on Mackenzie, right from Kerry Road almost to Quadra. So just keep in mind that, especially if you're headed eastbound at this hour.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
There's been a lot of discussion over whether it's a condo bailout or it's providing opportunities for housing and people to get into the market. This after the feds and province floated the idea of buying up vacant properties. But what might have gone under the radar as part of that announcement is the $3.2 billion allocated to squashing development cost charges. Patrick Condon is a UBC professor emeritus who's written extensively on sustainable urban design and has recently written a column in the Tyee arguing against the approach. He's joining us now. Good morning, Patrick. Welcome back to CFAX.
Good morning. Great to be here.
So what motivated you to write this?
Oh, boy. I have long been concerned about the cost of housing. And the bottom line for me, which is in my book, Broken City, is that the real problem is the inflated price of land, which in many cases is worth 10 times more than the price of the building on top of it. So relative to this other bailout, this is money that corrects or helps developers who have paid too much for the land. Now that they've paid too much for the land, they're stuck with it. The land speculator has gotten away years ago with millions and millions of dollars. And because they paid too much for the land, they're coming back to the government and saying, we can't sell our condos. Please remove the requirement, which we agreed to years ago, to pay for X, Y, Z in service improvements in the area, in conformance with the way the cities have been building themselves for decades. So it's a bailout, and it's not going to make housing cheaper. It'll just prop up the price of that housing to the already insane levels that they are at.
This also points to how important development charges can be to move a community forward, because if that money is not actually used for the improvements that are associated with development, for example, subsidizing the tax base so that the increases aren't as robust and it makes a council look good, but then you have gridlock and you can't grow because of the gridlock, it's kind of self-defeating.
Well, that's correct. There's an enormous amount of infrastructure that's required, and let's say it's about 10% of the total cost of the project, 10 to 20% of the total cost of the project. That 10 to 20% of the total cost of the project ends up coming out of what they call the land price residual. If you eliminate that amount of money, it just increases the land price, because the land speculator is smart enough to say, now that the developer doesn't need to pay that cost, that makes my land more valuable. And in the end, the broader taxpayers are the ones who end up having to pay for those improvements years later. So it's a real problem, and it's being swept under the rug right now.
Are people sitting on land because they're waiting for that optimal opportunity in terms of cashing in?
Always. The most lucrative part of the whole development process is called land banking, which is to buy low and then to get that land rezoned and then sell high. And you don't actually have to put a shovel in the ground to get that money. Sorry about the noise. You don't have to put a shovel into the ground to get that money because you're not doing anything but speculating.
So do development charges, should they be going down? Should they be staying the same? Or should they actually be going up?
Well, I think I think under these circumstances, I would recommend that they not go down, and that you should reassess the value of these charges, because that's a perfect way to get monies that would otherwise go to speculators, land speculators, towards social benefits. And social benefits can be broad. They've traditionally been used to build community centers, daycare centers, and add infrastructure, and importantly, to fund a certain percentage of affordable units as a consequence of new building projects. So yes, they should certainly be retained and perhaps go up.
Thanks for joining us today and bringing your thoughts forward. We appreciate it, Patrick.
Sure. All right. Have a great day.
Patrick Condon, UBC Professor Emeritus. That'll do it for us today. Have a great Thursday.
CFAX Victoria,
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Best with your CFAX 1070 news to 9 o'clock. West Shore RCMP are warning about fraudulent letters impersonating police making the circulation. The letter falsely claims to be issued by the RCMP National Cybercrime Coordination Center, or NC3, another organization. The letter could be accusing you of serious criminal offenses and threatens that failure to respond within 24 hours or pay the fine will result in criminal prosecution and public release of your identity. RCMP say if you receive one of these letters, ignore the demands. Do not send any money. Do not communicate with the sender. Instead, retain the letter for evidence and call local police or report the incident to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. Saanich police say a suspect has been collared and charged in connection with that serious assault in Gorge Park last weekend. Patrol officers say the assault happened near Craigflower Bridge last Saturday morning. Officers found a man suffering serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Kyle Dustin David Aird faces charge of 1 count of aggravated assault, 2 counts of breaching court order conditions. Police say he remains in custody pending a bail hearing. If you have a flight booked on WestJet, you know at this point that you could be in for some turbulence because as of the August long weekend, August 2nd, in fact, just over 2 weeks from time, the flight attendants, all 4,400 strong, could be on strike. CTV's Andrew Johnson has details.
It sucks for the travelers, for sure.
It may not come to that, but today, 99.4% of WestJet flight attendants voted in favor of a strike.
The last thing we want to do is go on strike. That's the absolute last thing we want to do.
CUPE says WestJet flight attendants work on average 35 unpaid hours a month, including during flight delays on the tarmac and during boarding.
We don't really have a choice. We need unpaid work addressed.
In a statement, WestJet maintains their pay model is the North American standard for flight attendants.